Hey, Andrew.
Yes, Steven?
You know how we romanticize the days of going out to our local video store and sifting through endless amounts of movies, searching for our favorite films, and maybe even finding some hidden gems?
Oh yes, I know it all too well. That used to be my favorite thing to do. Unfortunately, everything is online now.
Well, what if I told you that there was a place online where you could get some of them same thrills as going to the video store?
Are you talking about Orbit DVD?
I knew you knew what I was talking about. Orbit DVD is located in Asheville, North Carolina, and online with OrbitDVD.com, they bring you everything your physical media heart desires.
Yeah, they have an awesome website that stays up to date with the latest releases from all of your favorite boutique labels as well as studio releases. Not only do they carry American labels such as Criterion Collection, Severin Films, Vinegar Syndrome, and Warner Archive, but they get routine shipments on imports from companies such as 88 Films, Arrow Video, Imprint, and so much more.
And with the option to sell or trade your used copies for cash or store credit, they really bring that video store vibe to you. So go to OrbitDVD.com and stock up on your Blu-rays.
And tell them Chasing Labels sent you.
Welcome to another episode of Chasing Labels. I am your host, Stephen Billings, and with me, as always, is your other host, Andrew Cabral. How you doing, man?
Doing good, Stephen. Doing good. As always, glad to be here talking to you. Yeah,
I hope so.
I got nobody else to talk movies with all the time.
Yeah, you
so
do.
Just
There's tons of other people. There's tons of other people. They're out there.
They're out there, but I don't want to talk to them because I don't know them. That's social anxiety.
That's the introvert. Yeah, I get it. I honestly, I'm kind of the same way. It's not that I don't want to, but it's like I don't always have the, I might seem outgoing, but like you have to. It takes time to get me, get in my wheelhouse to where I'm like comfortable enough to really talk deep movies with you, But
yeah,
we're not talking about us right now. We're not talking about us.
Right.
We have a guest this week once again, and this lines up with a special announcement we have coming up. We have the man behind the channel, the YouTube channel and podcast, The Disconnected, and that is, and let's hope I don't mess up his name, Ryan Verrill.
You were close. Verrill.
Oh, God. Damn it.
That's a lot closer than Steven has gotten on some other names.
He knows, if he listens to the show at all, he knows that this is part of the whole thing, is me trying to say the name of somebody, and you're just part of, on the casualty list. So
yeah, you're on the hall of...
my hall of shame for me not being able to do the easiest thing I could do, which is say somebody's name right. But
I am honored to be in that hall.
We're making badges just like the Severin pins, and we're going to put them all up on the walls and stuff like that. So
as long as badges is spelled wrong, that's fine.
I will do it.
Yeah, forget the D, put just BAGES.
Yes, that's it. But Ryan, we appreciate you coming to talk with us today. I don't know about Andrew because I don't know how much he is looking around the YouTube space and the podcasting space, but I discovered your channel probably, I would say, about a year ago, and I think you started your channel right around the time we started this iteration of our podcast. So like we're kind of growing together, and I've just always been a great admirer of your channel because you're so educated. Your knowledge is great, and you're very open minded, and welcome to Chasing Labels.
Thank you. I am honored. Just like yourself, I've listened to you guys for quite some time, so the respect and honor is mutual here. And I have to say that you guys are probably the closest iteration to what I've done, and it's always nice to see somebody doing something similar. So it kind of validates what we're both doing, and it's just a nice space to be in with nice people.
Definitely. Yeah, I think some would say there's tons of people doing similar things to what we're both doing, but it's all about the people, the person at the core of it, you and me and Andrew, and what we're bringing to it personally. And I think we all here, do a great job at being informative, open-minded, and hopefully, are enticing people to discover new film and buy Blu-rays. That's what we want. We want to keep the machine going. But we're going to get more into physical media. We want to start with, let's get into Ryan here. And I know, from listening to some of your stuff, I know you have a little bit of like your own social anxiety. You have maybe a little bit of a hard time maybe talking about yourself. Maybe I did see your videos with your sister asking you questions, so I'm going to try not to copy some of her questions. But we do always like to start from the beginnings. So tell us a little bit about where you grew up and maybe some of where the love of movies started for you.
Sure. I grew up in a tiny town in the desert in California. Did either one of you ever see the movie Aaron Brockovich?
Yes, definitely.
So one of my favorite movies, but also very personal movie because it took place about 10 minutes from where I was born and born, but spent most of my child life. And I lived there until I was about 25-ish. And then my wife, we had just got married and we were looking to go anywhere, and I was and still am a federal employee. So one of the benefits of that is I can live anywhere in the United States and still pretty much find a job as a Fed. And we were looking around, and I chose Kansas City over Ann Arbor, Michigan, just because it sounds better in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
Also, probably better weather.
Yeah, quite a bit. So yeah, we've been here since 2013. Growing up in California, you would think it would be very California-esque, but it was not. It was a tiny town, very conservative town, very like tidied up, and everybody keeps to themselves sort of town. So we only had like a very small Blockbuster and one little privately owned video store, and both of them really only got by because they carried the mainstream titles. So I didn't even have any sort of inkling to know that there was this giant movie industry out there until I got a little older. And I started doing things in the music industry first, actually. I was friends with some bands. I volunteered for a radio station, stuff like that. And just classic film story is I started to have my opinions swayed by these bands. They'd tell me, yeah, we got a song about Evil Dead. You ever seen that one? Nope, never heard of it. And they'd sit me down, and this little punk band would be showing me Evil Dead, and my film taste would be growing by the day.
Yeah, you had the Almost Famous thing happen to you. Don't listen to the bands. They're going to want to be your friends, But you write what be yourself. Say your thoughts. Don't let them influence you. Yeah, so you had that happen. So you were influenced.
Yes.
I didn't realize how much movies can influence music until you actually start getting old and start watching the movies that influence the music. So music and movies kind of always go hand in hand. I mean, there's music in movies.
Definitely.
Very much so.
So how I remember hearing a little bit about this in one of your videos, but not only did you do that in music, but didn't I hear that you play some instruments yourself as well?
Yeah, I was in marching band for the longest time. I played clarinet, played saxophone. I've played guitar, bass guitar, played drums. Most of these I taught myself.
Awesome, man.
Then to be able to move to Kansas City, I sold almost all my instruments just to be able to afford the leap. And then after getting here, gosh, I think it was the second year of the pandemic, so 2021, I finally got a guitar again. So I'm sitting here tinkering every once in a while. Yeah,
that's good, man. Yeah. I play a little bit, but I don't. I never. I was in a band in my early 20s, and primarily just vocalist. I did write some songs using the guitar, but never played it live. So I just used the mouth. I'm still using my mouth.
Pretty difficult.
Still, yeah. But Andrew, jump in, man. Ask him something.
Yeah. Oh yeah, ask him something. So you mentioned small town. Mentioned one Blockbuster or anything like that. How was the kind of theatrical experience in a small town? Was there a movie theater that you had access to? Was there
something
like that?
Yeah, it was when I say small town, we're talking like 23,000 people, so not small enough to not warrant one. But it was small enough to not warrant any updates. So the movie theater there had been the same probably since the early 80s or so. So much like caked and just nastiness that it was difficult to walk in because the floor was permanently sticky. The stairs that they had were like falling apart. Even the chairs they were still built for when everybody was much smaller. And I am a giant person. I'm 6'5" on a good day, weigh like 365. I'm huge. So sitting in a chair is rough, depending on the size of the theater. So yeah, we had that going for us, which was not great. So we normally, once I got older and I could make this decision, I'd always drive like 40 miles to the nearest nice theater and go see something there. But one cool thing, we actually, and as far as I'm aware, it's still operational. I haven't been there since 2014. I haven't been to California since then, other than my trip to LA this last fall or summer. But they had one of the only operational drive-throughs. And I went to that, not drive-throughs, drive-ins. Why did I say drive-throughs?
I mean, drive-throughs are,
Yeah, it still works. You're still in a car
I just said I'm
something.
fat. Yeah, I'm
yeah, you're just thinking about food right now. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I haven't eaten yet, so I am quite starving myself.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we had a really nice drive-in, actually. It was two-screen. They did stuff most days of the week, primarily Friday and Saturday, of course, their busiest nights. But yeah, I saw stuff like 300 I saw there. That was great to see in a drive-in with a big group of people watching and everything. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, man. And maybe this is just, maybe I should go back, but I fell asleep in 300. I was watching it in the movie theater, and
How
I
did you
did.
fall asleep?
I'm sorry. I don't know what it was. Maybe I was having a bad night, but I was I used to work at a movie theater, so we watched this at a midnight show, just employees.
Okay.
I was
just
sitting in the
gonna
middle
ask
of the
you.
theater, with just laying on the floor watching it, and maybe I was because I was laying on the floor, and just fell asleep watching it. I didn't.
You never went back and watched it?
No, I didn't.
Do you have it?
I
in
don't
your
own
collection?
it. Don't own it.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
I mean,
I'm probably making a mistake, guys. Don't judge me. I'm just saying.
I mean, it's not the end all be all movie, but it's been referenced so much in pop culture that it's almost as if everyone has seen it, even if they haven't. It's one of those.
Yeah, I know.
That came out when I was a freshman in college, and I went and saw it, and then it kind of took over from there. But that's fine. I did not know that about you.
Well,
I mean, you kind of picked the right time. I think there's a 4K of it now. I'm pretty sure by this point.
I didn't say I was going to still buy it. I'm
Oh,
not.
okay, all
Just
right.
calm
Maybe
down.
I-
I didn't.
maybe
Let's
I'll
not
have
make
to-
decisions right now. But back to Ryan. God.
I'm just gonna keep sending you like sale ads for it every time it goes on sale.
Yeah, stop. So I did make a stop through Missouri one time. So I have visited your state, and my time there, it was beautiful. It was actually very, it did kind of remind me of North Carolina. I'm in North Carolina. It's kind of got the same kind of vibe. Probably just a little bit more open space than we have.
Lots of that here.
Yeah. But I stopped there on the way to Telluride Film Festival. I drove across the country to go to Telluride, and on the way through, I stopped in Missouri and camped out there overnight, and it was nice. I really liked it there. Yeah. So please tell us what would you say are some of the first films that were kind of your foundational, influences when it came to your love for film? Like what hit you first that made you get more interested?
Yeah. As a child, Beauty and the Beast was my first theatrical experience. Fell in love with that movie. Being a big music person, the music in that movie just hits different. I don't know necessarily what it is. And obviously we're coming within a month of Angela Lansbury passing, and she was just pivotal in that film.
What's your favorite song? What's your favorite song?
Oh gosh, probably Be Our Guest, because
I was going to say.
I'm a big orchestra fan, and the background music in that is captivating. It is astonishing to actually pay attention to each piece.
I think we kind of take that movie for granted a little bit because it is so popular, but it was a Best Picture nominated movie. I mean, it was
and that was back before they had Best Animated Feature as a category.
Yeah,
and there was less nominees in that category.
Yeah, five
too.
nominees.
Back when they had five nominees.
It's a great movie. But back to Ryan.
Back to Ryan.
More foundational movies.
First cult title was probably Halloween. I watched it when I was 8 years old. Scared me to death. It was a great one, and I'm still fond for it, but the franchise itself has certainly fallen in terms of my appreciation for it. Comedy-wise, my first big comedy was probably My Cousin Vinny. I love that movie.
Dude, me too.
Nice.
Oh, man. We're from the same cloth, yeah.
That's endlessly rewatchable, that movie.
And I loved stuff growing up like Encyclopedia Brown and the Hardy Boys and Sherlock Holmes, and it does have that type of feel because they're uncovering this entire mystery, but in the most hilarious way, and it's got just one of the best casts of all time. I love that movie.
Yeah. My Cousin Vinny, man, I think a lot of us parents let us watch things probably we shouldn't have been watching necessarily young. My Cousin Vinny, I just remember, the scenes of him just shooting the owl making the noise outside and just running, just shooting at you. Just a lot of great shit like that.
The first time I probably saw that was probably on like cable TV, like a TBS, TNT,
What's
something
that?
like that.
What's cable?
I don't know. I mean, I'm
kids ain't gonna know what that thing
definitely.
is anymore.
What is interesting you bring that up is that I saw someone on Twitter the other day say something about my cousin Vinny needing a new Blu-ray release, and I was like, oh wait, it already has one. The Blu-ray came out in 2009, which feels like
one of the
forever
first
ago
ones,
at this point. And I was like, did I buy that in 2009? Because I have it, but it's like when
I think I
like
still
it was
have
a
my
newer
DVD.
release.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, we're getting so close to. I think it's its anniversary,
Probably
like 30th
30th
anniversary.
yeah.
They could do something for that. Hopefully,
Definitely.
I'd love a nice 4K.
You think they could get Joe Pesci to do a special feature? Probably not. They have to pay him like $5 million to do it.
Joe Pesci and Aunt May talking it up in 2022.
I would love to see Marissa Tomei do a new interview for it or something like that.
She would. She would. She won an Oscar for it. Yeah, I mean,
Machio's more famous than ever at the moment.
There you go.
Very true.
It really needs to come back. We needed a good release of that. But
what is interesting is that this year is the 30th anniversary for it.
Nice.
So they missed the boat on that.
What the hell?
20th Century Fox.
They fucking that up. They missed their window.
You said the magic there. It's Fox, so which means it falls
Fox,
under Disney.
I did
say
that.
Of course, they dropped the ball.
Of course, they dropped the ball on that. I don't even think they marked it with any like type of anything. But
nothing at all.
Yeah, that's a great, foundational film. It's.
What about
one of those? Yeah.
Go ahead. No, I was gonna say, what about action movies? I want to know about.
I was just gonna ask.
What about like? Was you a Stallone fan? Do you like Stallone? You like?
I'm not a huge Stallone fan, but growing up in the 90s, I was all about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, of course.
I think we all were.
Yeah.
Not even the biggest like Conan or anything like that. I really loved his forays into action comedies, and True Lies was a big point for me. Even Kindergarten Cop was a big point for me. Growing
Put the cookie down. Put the cookie down. Yeah.
I lived in California, and he was our freaking governor. So I was just all about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
How did that feel? How did that feel having like the Terminator as your governor? Did you feel safe?
Well, I'm going to get super nerdy for just a moment.
Do it.
For anybody that knows me, you can tell I'm probably like super straight-laced, more so than I should have been. And I participated in something called Boy State. And as a junior in high school, they choose one person from every high school to go participate at your state's capital. And there's all kinds of this government side of things where they're practicing like a mock government. And it was during the California recall election that I was a junior in high school. So I got to be at the California Capitol as all this is going down. And it was awkward to have all of we had a porn star running for governor. We had Arnold Schwarzenegger. We had so many just random things off the wall, but we were learning all this stuff about government in terms of Gray Davis, who had been this giant corrupt a-hole basically. So it was an interesting formative time in my life. That's for sure.
Yeah, dude, it was just the signs of more things to come when now the president is now, an actor / whatever you want to call him.
Previous president was.
Yeah,
I don't even know if you call him an actor.
Next thing
this current president was on Parks and Recreation, so.
Yes, he was for an episode.
Yeah.
It's the 90s. I mean, we all kind of, I think, Steven, you and I kind of grew up in that same era of the 90s, and it's just a unique era of so much change within cinema.
I think, Ryan, you're maybe a couple years older than us. What was your birth year?
87.
Yeah, so you're a little older than him, than Andrew, and then I'm 89.
Well, it depends on which month he was born in.
January.
Oh, so yeah, I was June. So
yeah.
What's that? 6 months.
So he grew up around the same. He grew up in the same era as us. Yeah,
the same era, the same time frame. And I just remember going to the movies every single week when I was a kid and seeing whatever was new.
Yeah,
like that was kind of what we did.
I miss that so much. I don't think
a lot of young people understand. There's so many more options now for children and teenagers, whereas in the 90s it was rather limited.
But
what's so great about that? I know that having all these options is so great, but I think our memories of being able to do that, go to the theater like every week, it feels like so much more rewarding. Like it feels like the limitations caused us to have them great memories. Like every time we went, it was an adventure.
Yeah,
and
it
not
was an
that
event.
it's just another thing we're going to see.
And you didn't worry about like which movie you had to watch this week because of what people were talking about on the internet, because the internet wasn't around. You know what I mean? There was no fear of missing out because you didn't know what you were missing out on. You just went.
Right.
You didn't think about that. There was a lot of kind of freedom and thought about that, and then it wouldn't be until you're an adult that you kind of go back and reminisce about all of that and whatnot. Um, but yeah, what was it like for you, Ryan, when it came to collecting physical media? At what point in your life did that become part of it?
Well, like I said, I was big in the music industry, so I was one of those idiots that rode around with a CD binder that could fit like 500 CDs in it. And I had so many CDs, I had to go every couple months and switch out new ones for old ones and try to get new favorites in there. I used to go to Best Buy, Circuit City, and a couple other stores every single Tuesday morning to look at what new music had come out. And then eventually these bands started to influence me. And I realized, wait, most of these stores also carry movies. I should probably go look at some of those that they're talking about. And it just sort of morphed where I was loving movies so much more than the music side of things. And I said, well, all the music I love, it's going to still be here because I've got the CDs. And now I can start buying these primarily, and I've just pretty much never stopped. So I started buying a ton of DVDs, and then just like my musical instruments, I sold almost all of my collection to be able to move to Kansas City. And it was perfect because that was 2013, which is right about when Blu-ray was like set as the good format at the time. So I didn't feel bad about upgrading most things because it was a first time buy on that new format, and I didn't have it anymore. So I could go in and all that with titles that I've wanted for the longest time, or titles that I'd had on DVD, and I didn't feel guilty. And then now we got the upgrade to 4K, which I feel guilty all the time.
God, yeah, yeah. I've seen a few people online that I follow that have had this situations where they've had to sell their collections, and I don't know how they do it. I know why they do it, and I know that it's a tough decision. They have to do it, but like,
Right.
dude, I couldn't imagine starting over again. Like, that's
It's not
crazy.
easy.
No, I mean, if it was like something where like I had a natural disaster come through and it just swallowed up all my movies and threw them all over the state like a tornado, like it would break my heart. But I would be like, well, that was unavoidable, I guess. But if I had to sell my stuff,
I think the rebuild would be tough.
it would be tough to get back what I had.
To be honest, I mean, we talk a lot about boutique labels here. This stuff that we talk about is rather limited in the grand scope of things.
Oh yeah.
And then once they become, the rarer they become, the more expensive they become.
I'm seeing some dudes are somehow doing it though. They go on eBay and they must have revamped their cash flow because they're going back out and they're getting these things that I know have been out of print for years. And I'm like,
I mean, if you got if you have money, you can kind of you can pretty much do anything. But damn, something that used to sell for $50 is now selling for $200. So it's like, or sometimes more.
I'm saying forget that. I'm saying forget that out of print thing. Like, it's not. I've only done it like once where I've really spent like more than I should have, and I'm not doing it again. But so how do you feel?
It would be impossible.
Yeah. So can you remember some of the first, maybe, I mean, I wouldn't say try to tell us what are the first couple DVDs you bought, but like when did the boutique side, like when did you start to discover the boutique labels, and like what was maybe the first label that really got you going?
Well, in a couple different eras, I'll say I did have quite a few of the old Anchor Bay discs, of course, just like everybody else. I liked them because it was opening my eyes to new cinema, but I wasn't really paying attention to the whole boutique side of things yet. I really got into that after I came to Kansas City here, and I think right around when Arrow launched in the US is when I finally discovered, holy hell, these can be like a luxury item compared to what I've had before. And I don't remember what the first one was, but there was some sort of, I think it was an Amazon pricing error on one of the old original like first 5 Arrow releases, and it was supposed to be something like $50, and I got it for like 17. I was like, all right, I'll try it out. That's an easy, good price point to try to sway myself. And then it turned into an addiction, of course, because when I got that, I was never going to let anything like that go. And now I've got too many Arrow, I've got way too many Scream Factory, too many Vinegar Syndrome, and about 95 other boutique labels, not even exaggerating the number there. I've got so many labels that I have stuff from. It's unheard of.
Yeah, you know, we both do shows where we run down announcements, and there's just no way you could really cover every label. It's it's impossible. So you got to get to we both got to cover like the kind of like the main hitters, and then sometimes sprinkle in like new people, when they come out. So yeah, I mean it's just, and it's great seeing that this that physical media in this time is actually prospering. We came at the right time. We just hope that it can continue. I know you've talked about Bill Lustig's stuff recently. He thinks it's going to end soon. Reiterate your opinion on that. I don't know that I can always see maybe it slowing down, but I don't ever see it really leaving.
So basically, Bill Lustig said in an interview with Serial at Midnight on YouTube that he is guessing that within 5 years, most of the companies that are not something like Vinegar Syndrome or Severin are going to be gone. Even his own company, Blue Underground, he thinks will be gone within 5 years. And that is shocking to me, as we are seeing companies like Imprint, who started in, I think it was May of 2020, and they're already up to 200 spines and selling out everything on initial release. It's difficult to think that they may be gone within 5 years. Now, I do think that the more popular titles might not be as easy to release within the next 5 years. However, we have literally hundreds of thousands of films within film history that we can do releases for. Granted, many of them are lost due to elements. Many of them are still tied up in rights. However, we've also seen about 312 different releases just of 1978's Halloween, and probably a few more of The Evil Dead. I have a feeling that even some of these we can improve on ever so slightly, especially when we're in the middle of upgrading from Blu-ray to 4K. That doesn't mean that everything deserves a 4K. That doesn't mean that everything will have a 4K. That doesn't mean that everything can have a 4K. However, there's a lot of different ways to release films for the next probably 25 plus years before there's even a worry starting to form across many of these companies.
And of course, depending on the label you're talking about, new films are coming out all the time. So, I know your favorite label is Second Sight. I believe that's you've been vocal about Second Sight being probably your favorite boutique label, and they have continued to release all different films from all different eras, and have been putting out a lot more recent films like The Babadook and Jennifer Kent stuff, all that thing. So you got to think about what new is coming out too that can be put out as boutiques as well. So yeah, I mean, there's always something to put out, and I don't think we need to really at this point be worrying about the well drying up. I mean, it's not. No.
Yeah, I don't think it's. What's interesting is that conversation has so many facets to it. I don't even think it's a matter of not having option of product to put out. I think it all depends on the marketplace itself, the landscape, like. People buying. How many people are buying? How much are they buying?
Well,
what are they buying?
Well, the funny thing is
factor into it.
The funny thing is physical media is prospering in a time where people are supposed to be hard for money. That's what's weird. The pandemic came, people had to stop working, and for some reason, physical media went up and people started buying it more. And it's like, so really, it's not. It doesn't seem to be that people don't have the money to spend or that there's no interest. It's just like. I don't think people are aware as much as they should be. I think if more people were aware...
Marketing is also a thing as well. A lot of the marketing, especially with boutique label, is word of mouth through people like us, whether it's podcasts, whether it's other collectors, whether it's friends talking to one another, social media posts that people come along. It really all depends on, how getting the word out.
And that's why, and I think that's why a lot of these labels, and the guests, me and us and Ryan are very appreciative and want to talk with us because they realize how important it is to keep the word going. Because that is really what is the success of this is the community. The physical media can continue to prosper if the community continues to grow and we continue to. Spark that flame. You keep putting fuel in the flame,
I think what also you'll see, and what we have been seeing for years, so far is less options to buy buy these releases in person in a store, but it doesn't mean but you'll be able to find them online very easily. I think that seems to be the case now.
Oh, yeah.
Really, I mean, all the boutique label stuff I buy is pretty much through our sponsor Orbit DVD or other places online or direct from the company themselves. I mean, I can't. There's not a lot of brick and mortar stores I can go to where I can find a Vinegar Syndrome release, where I can find a Severin release, where I can it's even tough to kind of find Shout Factory stuff. Shout Factory seems to be the more.
You can go to Best Buy now, but
Best Buy has,
it's not going to be in good. It's not going to be in good
place.
condition. It's going to be
and
they're going to they'll get 5 copies.
With that, and they'll only sell 3 of titles from the last 6 months.
Yeah,
not even everything that comes in a month. So if you
know,
really want to go all out, the best place to buy direct always
exactly
is going to be that direct. So
yeah, I think for the most part, I'm buying direct right now. It's so obviously I like to buy from Orbit. Things that fall through the cracks, I definitely buy from like Orbit or a Diabolic DVD. I mean, not only supporting the companies directly, but supporting these retailers. I know you're a big fan of these retailers as well. You've had Jesse from Diabolic on, and also had Mark McLeod on from Orbit DVD, and also
Mike from Grindhouse.
Mike from Grindhouse.
Got to shout him out too.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, how I know you said you had a movie store in your town. Was that something regular did you go by there and not the Block, but did you have something other than Blockbuster that was like a Yeah,
we had a little place called VJ's Video that we went to. We lived catty corner directly across the street from it, which made it nice.
Jesus
and then,
Christ,
course,
that's the dream.
It really was. I used to go there all the time. Same thing, like they had the little porn curtain that you could push to the side. I never got to go in there because I was only like 8. But really nice place. Unfortunately, because it was a really nice place, it was doomed to fail, and they closed down fairly quickly. A couple years later, one opened on the opposite side of town called Silver Screen Video, and it was a little bigger, but essentially it was just Blockbuster Light. Even then, they didn't carry a lot of the non-mainstream stuff. And the sad thing is nowadays, something like Evil Dead and Halloween is mainstream, and a lot of people don't realize in these rental stores, Evil Dead is not something that was super common unless it was a mom and pop place that could choose their own thing. If it was something franchise, if it was something that they had an actual crowd to please, they couldn't just choose to put out, 25 copies of Evil Dead 2 or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean,
a lot of people don't realize that that a lot of those issues you just mentioned were because of Blockbuster. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of romanticizing about Blockbuster. But Blockbuster also did a lot of bad things in terms of forcing all these small stores or small rental places out of business because of just monopolizing the market of the time.
Yep.
And then of course you could only rent what Blockbuster had because that was the only place that had it, and maybe they wouldn't have certain titles for whatever reason.
And now we're getting a TV show on Netflix about it. So just,
about the last Blockbuster.
Yeah.
I'm not super anti-corporation at heart, even though maybe I am a little bit. But they were essentially the Walmart of home video. They came in and swooped up as much as they could, put everybody out of business, and then started to tank their own business. So it ruined everything for all of us. Yeah. And just likewise, Netflix did the same thing for streaming. We're getting to the point where there's so many different streaming services. I have a feeling that we're seeing more people come to physical media because of the failing in streaming. We're seeing this analysis paralysis where people don't know what to watch because the algorithms are terrible. But also, it's turning into cable. If you really want, quote, everything, which will never be everything on these streaming services, you're paying another $120 a month at least just to have 6 or 7 services. I mean, like Hulu with ads just announced they're going up to like $20 or 25 or something.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's
Netflix right now for, I guess, their highest plan is like $20 a month.
Yeah.
And that's with, you can stream in 4K, you can have 4 people watching at the same time. And
that streaming 4K, and that streaming 4K is bullshit too, because it's all about internet connection, and not everybody has the strongest internet connection. Not
everyone has, not everyone has strong internet. They have internet, but it's not like whatever the highest speed can be.
Even if you do, I've got Google Fiber. They still compress the shit out of all of their streams.
Yeah. There's a lot of compression when it comes to streaming. Even streaming just 1080p stuff is is it's not really full 1080p, and I've been saying that
Correct.
for years. It looks good. It looks good enough to fool people. I'll say that. But when you pop in a Blu-ray versus a 1080p stream, you can see a difference.
It's night and day.
You can see a difference. And streaming is becoming extremely bloated, and like you said, Ryan. It's if you want to be able to have access to not even everything, but just an abundance of things. Yeah, it's going to cost you the same as you were paying for cable.
Easy.
Easy, if not more. Just all because everybody decided to pair off and do their own thing, and now they can charge anybody, everything. And then you do have Netflix, who is probably struggling now more than ever, because they got almost too big, and then they just kind of overspend what they can put out. That's a whole other different story for a different time. But yeah, streaming has holes in it, and the holes are becoming bigger.
Yeah, they are. But let's talk about your you getting into what you're doing now. Doing the YouTube channel, and also pairing that off into a podcast as well. Tell us what made you decide that you got to a point where you wanted to share your love for film and collecting with everybody else.
Living in this house, I was loving the amount of work I was putting into my shelf space and all that, and not being an outgoing person, which, funny enough, we were talking about this offline a little bit. I'm very much an introvert as well, but it's nice to be able to get into a niche community and be able to share similar interests, because most of us that are listening to this don't have those types of people around us that say, oh my gosh, you got the newest 4K from Blue Underground. Let me take a look at it. I want to feel it. I want to see what it's like in the hand. And can we watch it sometime together? People just don't do that, really. So I started the name The Disconnected on, I think it was just Instagram first, and just started sharing like, hey, this movie's never been on Blu-ray. I'd love to see it. Or here's a picture of a shelf that I'm rearranging and it looks nice. What's everybody think? And right around the time that I started that, we got really deep into the parenting world. I've got 2 young kids, both of them special needs. And around that time, we started hitting therapy really hard for both of them. So it took away all of the free time that I had. So I just kind of put it aside. I kept the accounts open and realized that I couldn't focus on it as much as I wanted. No big deal. Being a parent was more important. And then the pandemic came and everybody was staying at home, and I had suddenly a hell of a lot more free time than I anticipated. So I said, why don't I just go back to doing what I was doing? I really enjoyed doing it, started doing it again. And then because I was spending so much more time at home and not being able to go out and do real world things, I was paying attention to what was happening in YouTube for physical media. And a lot of people were just sharing egregiously bad information. They were sharing that a release was region locked when it was region free, so somebody might not buy it, even though they could delight in this wonderful release. Even something as simple as like showing the cover of a movie and saying that it came from a label that it was clearly not from, and you could see that on the cover. That type of thing really irked me. And doing a lot of what I do for my work, I try to train people quite a bit. And I said, it's basically the same thing. Why don't I just go on and try to share information with people, and in a way that people might be able to latch onto? So I started making videos. One of the things that I did at first that got people really interested was I did guides to labels. So I'd share. I
love that, man. I wish I know you're busy, but I do really like that, and I think you should do more of them. Yeah.
I do plan on doing 1 or 2 more in the next 3 or 4 months. So yeah, I would share every release the label has put out, all the like tips on where to buy them, the best places to buy them, when they do sales. And then I was getting ready to do one for Mondo Macabro, and I had been friends on Facebook with the guy who is the U.S. leader of it, and that's Jared Honor. And I said, hey, I wonder if Jared would like hop on a video call and just say something for the video, see what we could do. And it ended up being this really cool interview thing, and I spliced in as much information as I could. And then suddenly I went, I wonder if I could just start talking to people from some of these labels, see how much people would enjoy that. So I had already started, I guess I forgot to mention this, the Thursday night show, where I try to share literally every boutique release that gets announced. Every once in a while, 1 or 2 will fall through the cracks, but I try to get as many as I possibly can. And we're talking some weeks like 90 plus announcements. I try to cover every single one as much as I can. And that's why my show has been 4+ hours sometimes.
Yeah, I know, dude. I'm with you there. I think we decided near the beginning that we were going to primarily, and this isn't like us trying to censor other things, but it's like we know that there's so much that can come out in a week, and we're just like we're gonna try to focus on what we feel like is interesting to us,
Right.
and hope that that's it's so much information. There's other guys like you out there that they don't need us to tell them everything, so they can find their information either from us or hear from all the other voices out there. So
Yeah,
we're gonna give ourselves some slack, and we're gonna just focus on what really interests us, and maybe just focus on the big heavy hitters and the ones that people go to a lot.
I was gonna say it's gonna be stuff that we are interested in ourselves and stuff that we would add to our own collection.
Yeah.
I think that's the first priority. I mean,
Right.
initially we were doing much more detailed breakdowns of all these announcements, like, reading off the special features and all this kind of stuff. And it just got to the point where it's like, the people who are, collectors like us, they're going to look this stuff up themselves. That's the first thing they're going to look at is.
Yeah, we were getting a little bit too choreographed,
Too
so we loosened it up.
detailed.
But yeah, I love what the one thing about your live show that I love is that you've been able to build a really good sense of community in your show. It's something that I would love to strive for our show, but we don't do live shows. It's a little harder when you don't have like a live interaction. And that's just how our schedule is. And unfortunately for now, we're going to have to continue to be a pre-recorded show.
Yeah, I blame Steven for that.
Yeah, sure, yeah, okay, but yeah, I love the community atmosphere of what you guys do, and you're always bringing on a lot of your. You have a lot of regulars also that like to pop in, and so yeah, that's I think one of the best things about what your channel is doing is the atmosphere of community.
I'd agree, and this is going to sound like a sales pitch, and it's really not, but earlier this year, after the interview started sort of taking off, I said, I bet a lot of people that watch would like to have more of a say in some of the things that are brought up in the interviews or in the Thursday night shows, and perhaps a Discord with everybody would go over well. But I don't want it necessarily to be a free-for-all and get a whole bunch of trolls. And the best way to do that is to put it behind some sort of small paywall. So
yeah.
I started a Patreon, and the people that have joined, it is, first of all, beyond humbling to me to think that some people would pay to be a part of that. But on top of that, we have such a perfect community in our little Discord group that it's like a second family to me. We spend days with long conversations, analyzing film, talking about personal things, talking about the labels that we all love, sharing pictures, going deep into like spoilers about the new Hollywood movie that people hate or love or whatever. But it's so validating to be with a group of people passionate about the same thing that you are and feel like you're not an introvert for a moment because other people are just like you. And it is such a gift and something that I will never take for granted that these people are willing to spend so much time there with me, because it's incredible. That community is my favorite thing in life right now. And I do have 2 kids, so that says a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait a second.
My wife won't hear this, so it's fine.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I say stuff about my wife on here. I'm like, she's never going to hear this.
Well, yeah. Next thing you know, one day she's just going to binge.
I finally listened to one of your podcasts.
Yeah, how many times you complain about everything?
How much do you say about me not letting you buy things? I let you buy everything.
Steven said he was going to slow down. He's been saying this for over a year.
Yeah.
And he buys more than anyone I know.
Yeah. But, yeah, man. So, yeah, the interview thing, that's something we obviously do as well. And the other thing along with that validation is just when you hear that people in the industry are either saying that they listen to you or that they love the show and just things like that they even know that you exist,
Right.
is very validating as well, that the people that are in it hear you talk about their stuff and they're like, I like their points, or they that they keep going back, and that's great too. Yeah.
To be honest, I know we've been doing this show for a while. I still haven't come to terms with the fact that people actually listen to the show.
Same.
Like I still don't. My mind still hasn't wrapped
I still don't
my head
get it.
around
I don't
the
get
fact
it. It sucks. It sucks,
Yeah.
people. No.
Yeah, like you'll interview someone, you'll talk to someone, they'll be like, oh yeah, I listen to the show all the time. Like, and it's like,
Why would you do
wow.
that?
It's like, yeah, why? I've got nothing important to say.
And both of us have had the same person say that in the last month because we both got to talk to Sean Baker.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
so nice to hear somebody who is so embroiled in Hollywood, who is deep into the physical media world as well. So I love that.
Oh,
Yeah, that dude's he's just a genuine, he just loves movies and he wants to hang out with other people that love movies.
It is really cool that he's also a collector and he keeps up with all what the labels are doing, and I'm pretty sure he talks to them
and he
about stuff.
he got a whole other apartment just to put his movies in. That's basically what he's.
He's like,
I want to be able to do that.
Extra place.
Yeah. So
I could imagine what his collection looks like at this point.
Oh yeah. So when it comes to what you see, where you see this podcasting thing and YouTubing thing going, is there I am stealing a question somewhat here from your sister. Is there like an end goal? What's where is this something where you are shooting for something in particular? Is there any other things that you haven't done yet that you would really like to do? I know one of them is something that we can't talk about yet, technically, because we haven't. Well, this is going to release after. Is this going to release after we talk about the other thing? I don't know. When is this going to release? Is this going to release after the announcement, or I don't know?
I think it'll be the same day, right?
Yeah, so we can technically talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So is the thing that we're doing together, working on together? Was this something that was a secret goal of yours?
Well, I've got a lot of secret goals actually.
Yeah. You don't have to tell us because we don't want to give away your plans. You don't have to tell us.
What's funny is my sister interviewing me happened in August, and a lot of stuff has kind of happened since August, and it was early August even. And it's weird when you're doing something like this that even 30 days can kind of change the whole trajectory of your channel and your brand. Yeah. So I've had a lot of things change since early August. I love that we're doing the show that we're doing together. I love that we're putting this on. It was never really a secret goal. It was just something that I came up with tangentially apart from you. And, this summer I was thinking about, I love that we have so many releases coming out. I would love to champion them in some sort of way that isn't just my show and get the community involved. And that's just what it's formed into. There are other things. I used to be a much more prolific writer than I am now. I used to write reviews for a bunch of websites. I used to be hands-on in the music industry in terms of writing and helping book things. I would love to get back into writing. I would love to take some of these contacts and do more with it. I'm the type of person that I feel like I could do very well at like a commentary on a film on some of these releases, and the way that I view education and the context behind these films, I think it's important to think like that, and not enough people do have that sort of mindset, and they have these own goals that they have personally to try to get to being somebody who does like visual essays on a release, but you don't even care about the context about the film. You just want to gush about how Jackie Chan is awesome, which is great and it needs its place. However, there's a big historical aspect of these that people really should be educated on, because there are certain films that have had wide sweeping impacts and we don't share that side of things enough.
Yeah, you have the voice for a commentary, by the way. You got it, man. Well, obviously I have it for what you're doing already, but yeah, you got the voice, man. Now the face, I don't know. You should. No, I'm just kidding.
Definitely not.
I'm just kidding.
What's that saying? You have a face for radio.
Yeah. Dude, he's got
backhanded insult.
Although maybe I do have a face for commentary because you never get to see them.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, man. You got it. You're ready for it. But that's great. Ryan, as I said at the beginning, just love what you're doing over there at the Disconnected, and I guess we'll cut it there. And so, we've said all the places. Where are all the great places that they can go to connect with you?
Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I post all of my announcements there, and I try to hype as much as I can there. I never had plans to release this as a podcast, but then people started complaining that they didn't have enough bandwidth to download the videos to be able to watch separately. So I said, well, why don't I just do it as audio? Because that's like not even 5% of the same amount of data. So I said, it's no more work. I'll just throw it up as a podcast as well. And suddenly that's taken off and people are enjoying that. So yeah, anywhere you get podcasts, you can look up the Disconnected, get it there. for now, I think that's pretty much it. But also, if you want to be a part of that close knit, really nice community that people are not going to judge any of your film beliefs or anything like that, patreon.com/the disconnected, and I'll be there.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, Ryan, it's great talking to you, and we'll see you around.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that was Ryan Verrill. I hope I'm saying, I always fuck up names, Verrill.
That was Ryan. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was great to have him on. First time meeting him for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
So it was really, really nice. I know you guys have been talking for a while, setting things up.
Yeah. We didn't talk about it really in the interview too much. We could have, I guess. But, Shelf Shock Rewind Awards. Andrew, you are a member of the CSC.
Yes, I am. Yeah. I'm an esteemed board member of an invisible digital board.
Well,
executives.
You're one of the members that helps come up with the nominations. You submitted your nominations, and now they're being tallied up with all the other members, and we're going to find out the nominations December 15th. So it'll be
nice. That's going to be here sooner than we think.
Yes, it will.
Because this end of the year is crashing fast. By crashing, I mean moving fast.
Yeah.
Speaking of moving fast, we've got a bunch of stuff we've got to talk to here on the here in the heart of the show, and a bunch of announcements recently. So we're going to get to it because it is approaching what has become a bit of a sacred day for a lot of collectors, and that is Black Friday. So we want to get in some Black Friday news. We want to get in some announcements and whatnot. But yes, Stephen, where should we start?
Oh man, Jesus! So we got some catching up to do a little bit.
Yes.
I guess let's. You want to start with what we've missed in Kino? Let's just start at Kino.
Sure, let's start there. Do you want to talk about briefly a little news story about Terror Vision?
Oh yeah,
that we still
yeah.
need to cover.
Yeah.
It's more of a news story than an announcement story. Well, it's kind of one in the...
Yeah, they had one announcement to go along with it. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a couple of things on the horizon. So Terror Vision, as many people know, is a Vinegar Syndrome partner label. And it's been one that's been put out by a lot of isn't it put out by Brad Henderson?
It's
I
his.
think that's his. Yeah, who we've had on the show now twice, and basically he is going out on his own. So far for the last year, they've been partnered up with Vinegar Syndrome when it comes to distribution and promotion and website, all that good stuff. But now he's going off on his own venture, and apparently he has quite a few releases already lined up for he has like over 30 releases already lined up, and he did mention a couple of them. He also mentioned that he's also doing a brand new subscription service type of deal, where is you can join at any time and you receive the next 10 TerrorVision Blu-ray titles as they're released. And I guess whenever you sign up, whether you sign up now, later, you get the next 10 in a row. You get a discount on them. You get a guaranteed slipcover with each release. So if you're a slipcover enthusiast, like many of us are, you get one of those. You also get a TerrorVision Video Club T-shirt, because I think this is called TerrorVision Video Club.
Yeah.
So he's kind of modeling it after the kind of an old school style, like a club you would have in school, I guess, or just amongst your friends.
Yeah.
Where you all get like a clubhouse T-shirt and whatnot. You also get access to other products and merch that they're selling, like cassettes and vinyl records and T-shirts and whatnot, whatever's coming on the horizon, and free shipping, I think, which is always nice. That's the main thing for me. But there are a few future titles, and obviously with TerrorVision, these things are going to be all stuff that are, I think, horror related, low budget, shot on video, lost stuff, and we're getting a few here. It's a Killer Refrigerator, Hook of Woodland Heights. And we're getting the Days Before Christmas, and there's a Copperhead, which I believe is a snake monster type movie. And then Happy Hell Night is getting a UHD release. And I think it's going to be their debut 4K UHD release.
All right.
So yeah, you can join that now. Go on to www.terrorvision.com. And I guess you get all the info there. But I just thought it would be something for us to mention.
Of course. So we're fans of Brad Henderson, and this sounds really cool. It's one of them things where, if you're really into this type of cinema, this might be for you. I mean, this is a debate. I know people. A lot of it has to do with, your means, how much money you have, you can spend on this stuff. And for me, it becomes tighter and tighter. I wish I could subscribe to a lot of this stuff just because I'm so interested in it, but. To me, and I think you agree, Andrew. We're more like we have to like kind of go release by release. We don't necessarily for us subscribing to a whole, like what Vinegar Syndrome does, where you can get the whole year or get the whole, like it's just maybe a little bit.
It's something I've never done, but I know people who do
it.
it.
And the thing is, it's not even a matter of like trusting the label or not. Like if I had the means, I would, but. I just can't see myself ever wanting to put money down to just get everything of something. I'd much rather take my time and get surprised by the releases and pick what really interests me. And
it does go back to kind of a little bit of what we talked about several times throughout the show. Just the way in which people collect, the different tactics people have, the different strategies, the different tastes, the different methods. This is a subscription service, just another method. I tell you, it's a nice way to blind buy things.
Oh, it is.
That you've never seen.
And that's the thing is, I'm not poo-pooing the idea. I think it's a cool idea. Especially if that's your niche, you like that part more than anything else. It's just our tastes are so varied. Like I like so many of all the different labels that I can't find myself investing that much into just one label. Like that's just such an investment. Like even like Radiance, Radiance has been doing like. They did that first 3 years deal, and it's like you want to drop, whatever it was, like a lot. It was a lot, it's like I can't see myself investing that hard. Like I want to make sure my money's going where I really am interested in when I don't know what it is yet. If I don't know what it is yet, I have a hard time, making that investment. But
I feel you. Yeah. I would say this for those of you who don't know Terrorvision or haven't gotten into Terrorvision yet. One movie that I really liked was Video Violence.
That was a good one.
There's a two-pack with Video Violence and Video Violence 2.
Yeah.
That's a good place to start. I really enjoyed that movie and that release in general. But moving on from there, we will now jump into Kino to do a little Kino catch-up. I'm actually surprised Kino doesn't have anything advertised for Black Friday or any sale, because they have sales for like every season.
Yeah,
I'm surprised.
It'll drop randomly, like
probably tomorrow.
Probably start the week out. Yeah.
But starting off, kind of where we left off from before, is did we talk about this? Cecil B. DeMille's The Crusades, starring Loretta Young.
I think where I believe where we're at. I think last thing I remember us talking about was True Love.
Oh, okay.
November 12th.
We did talk about A World Apart with Barbara Hershey. There's The Crusades, Cecil B. DeMille, and then there's Bug. You want to start with Bug?
Yeah, we can start with Bug.
Let's go there, because we did not talk about that because I didn't get to gush
about
this movie.
Yeah.
And gush about how excited I am. This is finally getting some type of high definition release here in Region A land, because this is a movie I've had on DVD twice.
Yeah.
I bought it used at a used movie store once upon a time. Started watching it, it started to freeze, so I think I bought it again, and that's why I've had it on DVD, because it's only been available on DVD. And this is important for me specifically because it's a film directed by William Friedkin, screenplay by Tracy Letts, and it stars Michael Shannon and Ashley Judd. And this was Michael Shannon circa 2006, before anybody really knew who Michael Shannon was. Harry Connick Jr. is also in the movie as well. It's just a really good, like, psychological.
It's kind of
film. It's like a play.
It's kind of a fever dream play, It's very much. I mean, it's one of them films where it's set all in one location for the most part, and where Ashley Judd's this kind of like lonely, kind of you could say alcoholic type. She has a job at a bar. She just comes back to her place, which is basically living in a motel. So she's kind of estranged from like an ex who's been in prison, but he's now just getting out of prison. That's played by Harry Connick Jr.
Yes.
And then a friend of hers brings by Michael Shannon one day, just this random stranger, and they hit it off and they become kind of friends, and then slowly but surely you start to realize that Michael Shannon's got a little bit something going on with him, like that you can't really put your finger on it, but he starts to notice
he's a little off.
Yeah, he's a little off, a little strange, and then they have a romantic involvement, and then suddenly that's when it just sets everything off. He starts to notice what he calls bugs everywhere.
Yeah, they become like paranoid, schizophrenic.
Yeah.
Having hallucinations. Michael Shannon plays that type of character very,
Dude,
very
he's
well.
amazing in this movie.
Loose cannon, kind of. You don't really. He does that well. He yells very well in movies too.
Yeah.
So this movie does have a Blu-ray release. Came out in Germany in 2010. That's the only Blu-ray release of this movie that exists. So this is going to be a much different release because this is a 4K UHD. It's getting a brand new HDR Dolby Digital Master. Hopefully, I assume that it's approved by William Friedkin.
I don't know. Kino doesn't have a good history of...
Yeah, I gotta check, actually.
I don't know. Just being an asshole because of the Lost Highways release.
Yeah, but I mean, that kind of got...
That shouldn't be it shouldn't have make... I'll take it back.
Well, it kind of got fixed because now we've got
of course,
the
we got
4K UHD from...
Yeah, we got Criterions, but I'm just saying...
Which everybody's picking up during the sale.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that whatever happened between Kino and David Lynch, it didn't work out well.
Yeah, so... I'm trying to... Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I can't wait to pick this up. I think there's no official date on it yet, so it just says 2023, whenever that is, which is next year. But yeah, I can't wait for that. Next up on the docket is a film from 1938. So we're going from 2006 to 1938 in If I Were King, starring Ronald Colman, Francis D., Basil Rathbone. This movie I watched years ago, probably on TCM or something like that, and it's been a few years since I've seen it, so I can't quite recall it. But it's classic Hollywood, 1938. This is getting a brand new HD master. Yet again, just Kino filling out their back catalog of stuff. But this movie I did get to see in time for this episode, and this is Sorrowful Jones, starring Bob Hope and Lucille Ball. And this movie is interesting because, one, they're two, screen legends together in Bob Hope and Lucille Ball. This is Lucille Ball before the I Love Lucy show. This is 1949. Bob Hope plays this guy who's kind of a devious con man, shifty type of person. He's running a betting racket, like a gambling racket, which is illegal, of course. And one day, someone leaves his daughter there as kind of collateral for an IOU $20 bet. The guy goes off to try to get the money, and he never returns. So Bob Hope is saddled with this little girl, and then he basically has to take care of her, and kind of zaniness ensues. Lucille Ball kind of helps him take care of her because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's like a young scallywag, bachelor, if you will. But they have kind of a romance from before that they're rekindling now. You get caught up in kind of the local gangster gambling ring and whatnot. It's a fun comedy. I really don't.
There's a horse on the cover. Where's the horse play into all of this?
The horse is played into it because that's the horse that he's supposed to be betting on. But what ends up happening, it's kind of a little bit of a spoiler.
Don't say it. I've already got in trouble with spoilers. Don't.
Okay. I won't say it then. Needs to say that, the horse does play into it because it has to deal with horse racing and horse gambling.
Gotcha.
I'll just say that.
All right.
Moving on. Next is a movie I think we've already talked about, Marco Polo. They just announced that it's coming out February 7th on Blu-ray and DVD. I'm pretty sure we've talked about it before. If we haven't, it's a movie about Marco Polo.
Yeah, 1962.
Famous explorer, went to Asia and whatnot. I'm assuming that's what it's about.
It's also a game that people play in the pool a lot.
They do play that in the pool.
Yeah. But moving on.
This one looks like an adventure film shot in CinemaScope. Yep, 1962.
Yep. All right.
Yep, moving on. So No Man is an Island. I tried to watch this movie, could not find it anywhere. No Man is an Island starring Jeffrey Hunter, Marshall Thompson, Barbara Perez. I really liked the concept of it. And unfortunately, I just couldn't find it anywhere to watch. It's just one of those, just kept hitting dead ends. It's a movie I think about based on a true story where a man was trapped. Yeah, during the early Pacific War years, American seaman George Tweed is the only U.S. serviceman on Guam not captured by the Japanese forces. So he's kind of just trying to survive. That's kind of like that concept. You know, like a one-man survival story.
POW type of story. Yeah.
Yeah, even though, yeah, something like that.
All right.
But next is True Love, which, Steven, you had just referenced. This is a movie I didn't get to see, but it is of note for me personally because it is co-written and directed by Nancy Savoca. Nancy Savoca directed this movie called Dogfight, and this movie called Dogfight is incredibly underrated, underseen. It's a movie starring River Phoenix and Lily Taylor. Came out in 1991. Before leaving to fight in Vietnam, a group of teenagers play a game where they try to kind of play a trick on an unattractive young woman. And this unattractive young woman ends up being Lily Taylor, where they kind of like take her out and it's this competition where like who can find the most unattractive woman and whoever finds one wins. It's a cruel fucking joke. But what happens is that the River Phoenix character and Lily Taylor's character end up kind of forming a romance. It's kind of like a brief encounter type situation because he's got to leave, relatively soon, and he feels bad for this trick they played on her, and they have this really sweet, very, unique romance in that moment. Great film. I would love to see this get put out on Blu-ray by somebody somewhere at any point. As of right now, I think it's only available on DVD, and the DVD is came out in 2003, and it may even be a Warner Archive like burn on demand disc for all I know. But yeah, that's the only connection I have to this movie.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I highly recommend that movie to people. But moving on to something that we've actually already talked about, I think, because I think this got a release from Imprint, Steven.
Yes, yeah, I was gonna say it is a Blu-ray from Imprint earlier this year. The Ken Russell film Horror.
Yes.
So yeah,
and it's one of his later films, if I remember. Yeah, from 1991, and it's a movie. It's kind of the nightlife it's not a documentary because it's a narrative feature, but he's trying to portray the events as if they're a documentary.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to show you the harshness, the real life world of what a sex worker goes through in an evening. And yeah, it's one of it. Obviously, it's Ken Russell, so it's going to be provocative.
Yeah, yeah.
No big shocker there. Of course, he's famously directed The Devils and Altered States and stuff like that. But yeah, this has already gotten a Blu-ray release from Imprint, which probably many of you already have. So it's once again, Kino is kind of just putting out something that Imprint's already put out.
Yeah.
Next is a film called Raw Wind in Eden, which we talked about when it first came out. They're just giving us a date of February 7th. Next is a film starring Charles Laughton and Carole Lombard. And this film is not part of either of the Carole Lombard box sets that Kino's put out. So if you're collecting Carole Lombard's work, you got to get this movie to complete your collection at some point.
You got to.
Yeah. It came out in 1933. Charles Laughton.
It's pre-code.
Fantastic.
You got some pre-code there.
Carole Lombard. Yeah, it is right on that edge of that pre-code time. So if you're a big fan of pre-code stuff, this is also for you.
And it's a movie called White Woman, so it's there's something scandalous about it. It just.
Yeah, the world of a widowed nightclub performer, the luminous Carole Lombard, changes drastically when she agrees to marry a wealthy plantation owner, the larger-than-life Charles Laughton.
The man that directed the one and only.
Night of the Hunter.
Night of the Hunter.
Yes, he is. And he's also, a great actor. He was in Witness for the Prosecution. He was in Mutiny on the Bounty.
Yep.
A couple of years after this, he was in so many other stuff. But yeah, that's definitely got my piqued my interest, I would say. Next up is 1968, The Bride Wore Black, starring Jean Moreau. Jean Moreau is really a fantastic actress. She was in so many great French films. She was in Jules and Jim. She was in, I want to say, was she in Leclerc? No, she was in Elevator to the Gallows.
Yeah.
Which is another great film.
Good. Yep.
Yeah, she was in several films like that. I tell you, I am on IMDb right now, and they've reformatted their website, and I hate it so much because everything is so all over the place. I just thought I'd point that out for people listening at home for no particular reason.
The other thing to of course mention about this is it's directed by Francois Truffaut, so that's that's a big deal.
There's the Jules and Jim connection right there. And yeah, and I know she was in an Orson Welles film, and my mind's completely blanking. Yeah, and I can't deal with this IMDb right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well.
So move on from there.
I think we have another
So
film
next?
with her in it. Or no, I'm sorry, not her.
Oh, she was in Chimes at Midnight. There's the Orson
Bam.
Welles connection.
You got it.
Damn.
You got it, people.
How'd I pull that out of nowhere?
You got it, people.
I got it. Nailed it. But there's another movie, Mississippi Mermaid, 1970. And I think we talked about this when it was announced because this was already released by Twilight Time several years ago. And this is a kind of Twilight Time license pickup by Kino.
Yeah.
This is starring the late Jean-Paul Belmondo as well as Catherine Deneuve. And
another Truffaut. We knew we were going to get a bunch of we knew a while back ago a bunch of Truffaut got picked up by Kino.
Yes, yes, we did.
So yeah,
and everyone knows who Francois Truffaut.
Yeah.
400 Blows. Yeah, on and on. I don't need to give everybody a
Day for Night,
French cinema,
yeah.
Lecture. But next is the story of Adele H. Now this is also, if memory serves, another Twilight Time pickup. Oh boy, if you write down the story of and on Blu-ray.com, you get tons of things show up. But yeah, this was a Twilight Time Blu-ray from 2015. That is since obviously the license has lapsed. It was sold out back then. So this is another re-release. It's kind of interesting how I'm pretty sure a lot of people clamored for those Twilight Time releases on eBay and probably paid exorbitant amounts of money for them. And lo and behold, the license got picked up by, Kino or whomever, and you can find them now for like $20 or less. And it's the same transfer too.
Yeah.
It's the same transfer, probably the same special features. Yeah, it's got the audio commentary by film historian Julie Kirigo and Nick Redman. Nick Redman, of course, of Twilight Time. That was kind of the only real special feature that came out from this release.
And once again,
yeah.
Directed by Francois Truffaut.
Oh boy, we're getting it. It's a bit of a trend going on here, a little French cinema trend going on here. I love how in the credits here, they put Francois Truffaut, but they put his credits as The Bride Wore Black and Mississippi Mermaid, two of their other releases.
Ah, yes. If you did,
we just talked about.
If you didn't scroll down a little further.
Yeah, I know. If you didn't know, we got these two coming for you. But now switching to something completely different. No more French films here. We got some atomic age sci-fi in It! ! The Terror from Beyond Space. I love just that era of atomic age sci-fi.
And I love the
late 50s.
I love the tagline on the poster: "Reaches through space, scoops up men and women, gorges on blood."
Gorgeous on
It.
blood. Nice. That's what gets you.
Yeah.
And people saw this like in the drive-through back when it came out in 1958.
It
probably had a great fun
when
time.
did Night of the Demon come out? Because it looks like I feel like it's trying to play off of Night of the Demon.
Let me look, actually.
I think Night of the Demon was like 54, maybe?
I think you might be right. It may be a little earlier. Demon. 1957, 1 year before this.
They definitely stole the feel.
The image?
No. it's not the same
No, 'cause
thing, but it just feels.
It's not the same game. He looks more alien.
He does. But I just get
the
this
It monster
same
looks more
vibe
alien-y.
from this poster in a way. Looking into the creature's eyes, I feel Night of the Demon.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's just a personal thing. It's probably nothing else that anybody else will feel, but it's just me.
Nice. But lastly here, and not to
Back to
kind of
Imprint.
repeat ourselves.
Back to Imprint.
Yeah, this is another Imprint release that's already happened. This was part of their, what was it, neo-noir, their neo-noir set number 1,
Yes.
right? And this is After Dark, starring Jason Patrick, Rachel Ward, Bruce Stern. Yeah, we've talked about this already.
Yeah,
so
I would say it's one of the better ones in this. It's definitely weird. It's a little bit more, surreal of a noir movie. It's a little, but it's definitely interesting. I liked it.
Yes, directed by James Foley, who directed Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yep.
So that is Kino up till now.
Until 5 minutes from now, they'll announce something.
Until tomorrow, probably. But moving on, let's go to
Eureka.
No, I was gonna say let's just mention these two releases since Kino and Cohen Media are kind of the same. Not one of the same. Cohen Media is actually like a partner label of Kino now. So there's two movies I want to mention from Cohen Media that's getting a Blu-ray release. One is called Gang of Four, which is a Jacques Rivette film, another French film. And then the other one is a more modern film which came out in 2020. It's called Memories of My Father. The Jacques Rivette film is actually very good, very long. My goodness, that movie was long. But at no point did I find myself bored with it while watching it. It's just, just a lot going on. Yeah, the movie's 2 hours and 40 minutes, came out in 1989. It's a drama following 4 women at like an acting school or in an acting class and whatnot, and it's kind of all of them living in the same place, and you get all of their characters as well as the relationships between each other and the relationships they're having outside of this life that they have. It's a really good, solid drama film with a little intrigue thrown in there. I find myself really enjoying it. Jacques Rivette is another one of those French directors, like a Truffaut, like a Godard, in that same contemporary time. Claude Chabrol was another one. He directed Paris Belongs to Us.
Yeah,
is one that he directed, came out in 1961, so right in that French New Wave time frame. I believe that's put out by Criterion, isn't it? I don't know. We're going to get to Criterion later on anyways. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. And the newer film I'm not quite sure about, but Cohen Media is still putting out stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So now let's go to Eureka.
Okay, thank you.
Because they got two. They got two. Eureka, give me two.
Well, we got two here. We got Violent Streets from 1974, and we have from 1987 Magnificent Warriors.
Yes.
Starring Michelle Yeoh.
Young Michelle Yeoh kicking ass in this movie. I do want to mention that there are 2 releases of this coming out in December, I believe, which is next month. I think 88 Films is putting it out here in the U.S., and then this Eureka release will come out in the U.K. So one is Region A, one is Region B. If you have a region-free player, doesn't matter. But what does matter is that the Eureka release has more special features than the 88 Films release. They both have, I want to say, the same commentary and the same kind of archival features. But the Eureka release does have newer features. It's got 2 new interviews, and I believe an extra audio commentary. Don't quote me on that, but it does have more special features. Unfortunately, the 88 Films cover art does look better than the Eureka cover art, which that's just an opinion thing, I would say.
And that shouldn't be the deciding factor.
That could be,
Shouldn't be.
They're both coming from a new 2K restoration of the film. This has, I believe, a theatrical cut, and as well as another cut coming with it. Let me see how many cuts this has. No, just one cut. But I think it does have the original theatrical ending. I think that's the important part. That was previously cut from most home video releases. This is a kick-ass movie. This is a movie that's set during the Sino-Japanese War in the 1930s. So when Japan invaded China and set up the Manchurian state, if you will, this is set during that time in which there were people fighting back against that Japanese invasion. The movie Ip Man is set during that same time, the first film with Donnie Yen. And it's basically Michelle Yeoh teams up with this other agent, and they kind of fight back against this Japanese invasion, if you will. It reminded me. I saw some people describing this, so it's not me, directly. So I didn't plagiarize this, but they how do I want to say this? They compared it to like a Indiana Jones movie, but with Michelle Yeoh as Indiana Jones.
Okay.
Because it has that same type of adventure, except she's not fighting Nazis. She's fighting Imperial Japanese people.
Okay.
and it has that same type of kick-ass action in it. Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of watching this movie.
Awesome.
It's a great watch. This is something I definitely want to get. The movie's 91 minutes.
Oh yeah, so that's
perfect
great.
time frame. Perfect popcorn movie. Michelle Yeoh kicking ass. Awesome. Awesome. These are coming out in February.
Yeah.
We should say.
And Violent Streets, one thing to look at on this one, it's directed by Hendo Gasha, who did Sword of the Beast and 3 Outlaw Samurai. So them are I believe
3 Outlaw Samurai.
That's a Criterion, 3 Outlaw Samurai.
Yes.
And I sort of
it's a cheaper one because it doesn't. I don't think it has any special features.
Yeah. Sword of the Beast, I feel like has come out somewhere. I feel like I've seen it. Maybe I'm wrong.
I could look it up.
You could look it up if you want, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but the title sounds familiar. It might be like an Arrow release, maybe.
No, it hasn't come out anywhere yet.
Okay. Well, then I'm definitely wrong then. No. But so it's from a good director. It is a Yakuza film, so I like a good Yakuza film. So yeah, remember the 2 Eureka releases for February. Or should we move on to next? Should we get into the Severin stuff?
Sure. Because
right.
we got to do some digging for some Severin stuff. That's the one thing we got to do with Severin. Got to do some digging. So Severin is having, of course, their Black Friday sale.
Yep.
Which is coming up.
End of the week.
And of course, they've been announcing and teasing their Black Friday titles that they're going to be coming out and being available to, I believe, order on Black Friday. They've been doing this since late October, actually. So we got to do some digging here for it. So please be patient, unless Steven wants to cut this together.
Well, no, you don't. You know, I don't edit unless I.
No. So let me see if I can dig some of these out. So first up is I believe a Jess Franco film, and that is Sex is Crazy from 1981. And then let's see what's number 2 on the docket as I scroll ever upward. Yeah, number 2 on the docket is I Miss You Hugs and Kisses, plus a limited bonus second disc, which has a recommendation for Mercy. This is both from the same writer and director, Murray Markowitz. So that's kind of a double feature.
Yeah.
If you will. Kind of a double feature there, which I guess is kind of cool. They have more advertisements for a lot of their current stuff. I'm very curious about what I'm going to get from Severin.
Yeah.
I really want that box set that they put out. I really want some other stuff, but I gotta balance between Severin and Vinegar Syndrome and whoever else is putting out stuff. They're also putting out a book, a Dario Argento autobiography called Fear.
Yeah.
That's also going to be available on Black Friday as well. Thought I'd talk about that. Number 3 is The 5 Days, which is a Dario Argento movie. There you go. It comes out. It's a movie from 1973. It came out after another film they're going to release called The Four Flies on Grey Velvet.
I was going to leave that one for the finale. Jeez, that's...
Yes, put a pin in that. Wait, because it's part of their press release here. It says, after Four Flies on Grey Velvet, Dario Argento stepped away from Giallo to create what remains the only non-horror thriller and the least seen of his career, set during the 1848's 5-day siege of Milan by the Austrian army. A cynical thief teams with a naive young baker to survive the brutality and absurdity of the Italian Revolution. And yeah, it's his only non-kind of horror, non-giallo, non-supernatural type movie. And it's no coincidence that right after this, I believe he made Deep Red. So
Yeah.
he went back to his roots. So obviously, this I don't know if this was a success at the time, but this is something completely different from Dario Argento. So we're getting some Dario Argento to fill in the gaps. If you've been picking up the Arrow releases,
Yeah.
you're going to have some more to add to your Dario Argento section of your collection, which I need to do. And next up is a movie called The Dogs, 1979. And this is a movie by European cult fantastique writer-director Alain Jesua. Yeah, Jesua. This is an interesting movie because I actually did get to see this. And what happens is this town is being, like, victimized by these bands of like young rowdy youth criminals that are just going around committing these crimes, and apparently the police are just completely useless because everyone decides to walk around with like these particularly specifically trained attack dogs, and these attack dogs are all trained at this one particular place that is run by Gerard Depardieu, and so everybody's got to like train their dogs at this place. And I think the whole movie's kind of a metaphor for some type of political situation, some type of societal situation, because obviously this type of lifestyle and world has its problems, has its backfalls. You can't really sustain this type of society. And I think that's the whole purpose of the movie. But it's a thriller that doesn't have a lot of thrilling moments. Also, a lot of animal cruelty in the movie, so trigger warning for people who don't like that. That some moments are just disturbing. I just thought I would mention that. But that is release number 4, and let's get to number 5 now if I can find it.
We got
yes, and this is number 5, which is Blood on Méliès's Moon. This obviously is a take on Georges Méliès's Trip to the Moon. I've never seen this movie. I tried to find it. I couldn't really find it. It's directed by Luigi Cozzi.
It's also got another film in it, The Little Wizards of Oz, and
oh, I wonder what that's a play on.
Fantasticazi.
I wonder what that could be.
Yeah.
Could be about. This is a 2-disc edition. I think most of these are pretty deluxe editions. We haven't really been mentioning it, but yeah, these are. Servant does go full tilt.
Oh yeah.
So this movie looks trippy as hell, just in my opinion, but. Number 6 is actually not really a movie, but it is. I'll get to it in a second. Basically, this is called The Devil's Game. So in 1981, there was a 6-hour-long, anthology, television series type of deal where each episode I think was like an hour-long short film, and one of them was directed by Mario Bava and his son Lamberto Bava, I believe. And this just happens to be Mario Bava's, I think the last thing he directed is like this hour-long TV anthology movie, this horror anthology movie, and they're putting it on a disc, and they're giving it to us. So that's pretty cool, I think. Just if you want all of Mario Bava's films or all of Mario Bava's work, this is kind of the way to get it, if you will, because I don't think this has been available at all here.
Yeah.
If I would have to wager a guess. That's just my guess. It's kind of a cool thing. Yeah, it is his last thing. It was a TV miniseries, 1979. So that's. I just want to double check on that.
And then of course, earlier this year we had, what was it, Shock?
That was his second to last film.
So they're filling the gaps in.
They're filling the gaps of Mario Bava, which a lot of people have gotten Mario Bava's work. Kino's has a couple. Kino has a lot of his early work, actually, I think. From the 60s, if memory serves.
I know Arrow. I have a box set from Arrow that's got.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
That must be like a UK set.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so that was number 6. And then, let's see if I can find number 7. It's like looking for needles in a haystack over here.
I think it's...
Oh, found it.
Yeah, Mutant Action.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Acción Mutante from 1992. This is a 4K UHD release of this movie with HDR. This is...
It's an Alex de la Iglesias.
Yes, it is. Before the Day of the Beast, before Partida Durango, and This is Alex de la Iglesias' film. So if you got those two movies,
Yeah, and they did 4Ks for
there you
them
go.
too as well. So
Yes, they do. So there's one. There's two discs. It's a 2-disc set. One's the UHD, one's the Blu-ray. So that's pretty cool.
yeah, this looks
Yeah,
this
from
looks awesome.
1992.
I already got the other two movies. Of course,
You
I'm
got the
getting
first
this
two,
one.
don't you?
Huh?
Don't you have the other two?
Yeah, I have the other two. I did only get the Blu-rays though.
No.
But
Betrayer?
that was
That
just
doesn't matter.
because at the time I was trying to cut back on spending so much money.
Okay.
So
Understandable. Understandable.
yeah. This and now I'll probably just buy the 4K of this. I'm in a better
Oh, yeah.
place now. But
Yeah, but
yeah.
but let's wrap this up. Speaking of 4K, speaking of UHD, and we've already teased it earlier, is this is the limited edition web store only 4-disc set. So that makes it extra valuable. Is Four Flies on Grey Velvet, the Dario Argento film. Dario Argento's third film. This is the film he made after Bird with the Crystal Plumage, after Cat o' Nine Tails. Then comes this film, and this is part of his animal trilogy, loosely related because I think they all have animals in the title. And so this is a 4-disc set. It's a UHD plus two Blu-rays and a CD soundtrack as the 4th disc. Yeah, this is a good movie. You can stream this now on Plex if you want to. That's where I streamed it, and I dug it. I really liked it. This is something that I've definitely have my eye on. You know, I'm curious what the price is going to be on this. To be honest with you, my guess is not cheap. That's my guess.
Probably in the
But,
$50.
Yeah, that's my guess.
that's-
Something in the kind of like how much Blood for Dracula cost.
Yeah, probably in
That
there,
would be my
yeah,
guess.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a film in that vein where it's kind of a rare, hard to find film. I don't think anybody else has put this out. I'd have to check. It definitely Arrow doesn't have it because Arrow's put out the other ones. No, yeah, Four Flies on Grey Velvet does have Blu-ray releases in Germany. Does have Blu-ray releases in Italy.
But this
I don't know if it was actually
the
the same
special
one.
thing about this release is that they are getting the director's cut, and it's been restored in 4K 4K restoration from the original camera negative. So
Yeah, it is a 4K edition, which the other ones I'm looking at across, Cult Films is putting out this on Blu-ray on December 19th.
Yeah.
And that's just a Blu-ray.
I was
It's
gonna
not
say I was
4K.
gonna bring that up after all the Severin talk that Cult Films has a trilogy box set coming out with this included.
Yes.
That has no real new upgrade to it. They're putting also in the set's gonna have Suspiria, Four Flies on Grey Velvet, and Opera, which is one of the later Argento films. So it's they're doing it's a kind of a weird thing that they're doing there if they're not gonna upgrade it, but
Yeah, whatever. Do it.
yeah.
Do whatever you can to make money, I guess. Severin has also laid out their Black Friday store policies, which it's probably important to read those. Read
Please
between
do.
the lines.
Yes.
Because they do get a shit ton of traffic on Black Fridays, and there's always miscommunication about shipping and things like that, specifically shipping, because I know last time, or maybe it was the halfway to Black Friday sale, either one of these sales, there was a shipping issue when it came to the All the Haunts BR set being eligible for free shipping.
Yeah.
They honored that, but it actually they weren't supposed to, because in the policy it said that it wasn't part of that deal. But it ended up working out for those of us who bought it, which was me. So thank you for the free shipping.
But
It's like Monopoly.
the
Thanks
thing
for the
to
free
remember,
parking.
everybody, if there's some delays and stuff, is that remember Severin's a small company.
Right.
Things can
There's
happen,
always
and it can
something
make
going on.
things more complicated, and they're doing the best they can to make it as seamless as
Accommodate.
possible. So, give them a break.
Right. So where do you want to go now? Now that we're done with
Well,
Severin?
let's go
We
over.
got two major slates
Yeah, I was gonna
left.
say go over Criterion.
Okay. Now we've got Criterion's February titles. Stephen, lay them out for us.
Well, this is the I would say the month of upgrades, also month of new discoveries. It's got a little of everything. So first off, let's start with the upgrades. We are getting the Richard Linklater 1976 film. 1976.
1993.
I'm sorry, that's the year that the movie takes place in. That's what I meant to say. 1993 film Dazed and Confused. It's getting a 4K upgrade. This will also include a Blu-ray. Getting a 4K restoration of the director's cut. So you're basically getting the same thing, just an upgrade on the thing. No extra new features or anything like that.
Yeah, there's no new features. This is one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
Really?
So
top 10 of all time?
I watch this movie a couple of times a year, every year. That's how important it is to me.
I do like I do really like the movie.
I've owned it on DVD. I've owned the Blu-ray from Criterion for years. And this is basically just going to be an upgrade from a picture sound quality upgrade. It is the 30th anniversary next year as well, so that's when this comes out. These are their February titles.
Let me ask you a terribly hard question. Well, maybe it's not a terribly hard question. What is your favorite Linklater film?
That is a terribly hard question.
I thought it was going to be easy. I thought you were going to say
Dazed and Confused. Man, I was just going to say Dazed and Confused because I would sound like a hypocrite if I didn't say that.
I thought you were going to say Before Sunrise.
It's either it's
or before or before Sunset.
Before Sunrise. I like Before Sunrise.
Well, I agree with you. I like the first film the most out of that whole series.
Even though the second film is the one that still has the most staying power of the three, that first film has that.
It has a magic, man. That first
magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that magic that just has me going back to it. Keeps having me revisit it constantly, more so than the other two, and I don't quite know why. But yeah, Dazed and Confused is my favorite because it's a film that is so multi-generational in terms of the themes within it. The existential journey of being a teenager, not knowing what you want to do, where you want to go. There's an innocence there, a naivete, but also an understanding of where you are. There's so much going on, and there's a lot of fun in it as well. Great music. The soundtrack for this movie is
of course, it's one of the best. Yeah.
It's got all kind of 70s rock and roll. All the artists that you probably know are in there. I love the cast. I love what the special features on the Blu-ray and DVD are just so in-depth. You've got like cast interviews, cast auditions. You have the making of everything. You've got all kinds of stuff. And this movie spawned the careers of, Ben Affleck, Matthew McConaughey is in there. It's an incredible film. Just an incredible film. I absolutely love it. I quote it constantly. So this was a pleasant surprise for me for an upgrade because I wasn't expecting it just because that Blu-ray has been so solid for years.
Yeah. But,
And it's same packaging, too. Same packaging as well.
But, Linklater's kind of a staple of Criterion Collection. A lot of his works are in there.
We just mentioned it. The Before trilogy, Boyhood, Slacker.
Yep.
Those are all.
I'm waiting for the School of Rock Criterion.
Oh my goodness! If that happens, I hope you get it. I want it.
It's a Paramount release, so it's
There's a chance.
There's a chance, but it's a chance it's going to go to like Imprint.
What I would love. This is a hot take. The movie he did called Me and Orson Welles, I think is only available on DVD, and I just want that to be a Blu-ray release.
That sounds like a Criterion release.
It stars, Me and Orson Welles has a Blu-ray release in Germany from 2010 and Italy from 2010. Nothing in Region A land, nothing from the UK. This is a movie from 2008 that he did with Zac Efron, of all people. Claire Danes. Christian McKay, who plays Orson Welles, is amazing, fantastic interpretation of Orson Welles and the mannerisms and all that kind of stuff. It's just
all right.
It's about this kid who's in high school and he ends up being caught up in the Orson Welles theater. Kind of living my dream, I guess. but moving on from there.
Yeah, the other big upgrade we have here is of the Polish films, the big Krzysztof Kieślowski. I said it right?
Wow.
I know, right? That was amazing, right?
You got it. So that's incredible.
I know. It's like I practiced.
You pronounce things that are much more difficult, much more easier to pronounce wrong, and you ended up getting Krzysztof Kieślowski.
It's almost like I mess up on purpose. Do you think? Because it's like a running gag that I always like mess up people's names, but then I say Krzysztof Kieślowski.
Yeah, and it's damn close enough.
Yeah.
Damn close enough to be considered right.
Yeah. Kieślowski.
But it's Yeah, this is
The Three
this
Colors
is
trilogy. Sorry.
Yeah, the Three Color trilogy. This is a staple
Yeah.
of the Criterion collection. Like, I think everybody who collects Criterion
They should have this.
probably has this
They
on
should
DVD
have
or
it.
Blu-ray in
They're great.
their collection. They're masterpieces.
Yeah.
This is like Criterion Collection 101. You
I
gotta
remember
get it.
when this came out, and then like right around the same time, Decalogue came out, and that was a big one too.
They put out Decalogue, The Double Life of Veronique, which I consider part of the Three Color trilogy in some way. Like, it's a quasi, like a different color. You can just call it a different color, and it works in the same way because it's dealing with similar themes. But this set of 3 films is astonishing. Which one's your favorite, Steve? Have you watched them?
Yeah, I've watched them. It's been a minute, but I believe
same here.
I believe the last one, which I believe is Red, is my favorite.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's where isn't it where
Blue is
the one
probably
where
my
she goes back
favorite.
to that house. Yeah, and she
Blue is my favorite.
Yeah. Juliette
Blue
Binoche is
the
of
one
course
with
involved in.
Juliette Binoche.
Yeah.
And it's kind of all about just deep melancholy. Deep melancholy, because the beginning of the film, not a big spoiler, she loses her whole family in a tragedy, and it's her trying to deal with that tragedy. And just immensely beautiful cinematography. All these films are just gorgeous films.
And Red was Kostowski's final film, so
it was his last film. These were his three films that were his last films.
Yeah.
What a way to end a career. What a way to end a career. But yeah, this is getting a 4K UHD upgrade, so I can imagine how great they're already going to look. I'm assuming it's the same special features. I don't think they're adding anything.
No.
Yeah, these are just great. White is kind of underrated. I didn't appreciate White when I first saw it, because I think I watched it right after I watched Blue, and after being blown away by Blue, I was a little underwhelmed by White. But White is very good. Julie Delpy has a very small role in White. Speaking of the before trilogy connection there, and so yeah, these are essential, and they've put out a number of films by Kieslowski. You just mentioned the Decalogue, but they've also put out another one of his films early on in his career called Blind Chance.
Yeah.
Blind Chance, if you haven't bought that movie and you're looking for a movie to buy at one of these sales, whether it be a flash sale or Barnes & Noble, that's a good movie to buy, because that's dealing with kind of a chance and fate, and how different, something slightly different can send you down on a different path in your life. And that plays on that whole philosophy idea, like, hey, if I went left instead of right, would my life be drastically different? And it turns out it possibly could. So that's really, really great.
Yeah, there was I have an Arrow set that's got that in it, along with I think 3 other films.
Nice.
If I could find that release, I could tell you about it, but I can't because I suck.
Are you looking? Is it Cinema of Conflict? 4 films by Krzysztof Kieslowski. Yeah, it's got The Scar, Camera Bluffed, No End, and Blind Chance.
Yep.
Came out in 2021. Sorry. Yeah, it's put up by Arrow. Yep. That's an Arrow release.
It's a good one. It is just Regent B though. So.
Yes, it is. It's a Region B locked release, but that is 3 colors, and we've got 3 more. Ironically.
Yes. So these are new releases. We got new to the collection. We got 70.
What you talking about? Romeo and
Yes.
Juliet, 1968.
68 Romeo and Juliet. I hear this is a very popular version. We'll get back to it. Go ahead. Just go ahead. Talk about it.
I was just gonna say, this is the one that apparently everybody got shown in either high school or middle school or college whenever they were covering Romeo and Juliet in whatever English class they were in. Apparently, this is the movie that they would show you when it came to the movie adaptation of the play. For me, in high school, when we did Romeo and Juliet, we watched the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet with DiCaprio and Claire Danes.
Of course we did.
That's what they showed us. Not the most accurate version. That version is. This version, on the other hand, is very accurate, because I did get to watch it finally. This has only been kicking around on DVD for many, many years, because I remember seeing that cover for so long. And yeah, it's all done, set in the time period of which the play was, which the play it was written in. It has all the dialogue from the play. I think they left out a few things here and there, so it's not like a beat by beat, moment to moment type of adaptation, but it's good enough to the point where you get the whole story.
Yeah.
And if you've seen the story, you kind of get it. You know what I mean? There's no real twist here. This had a DVD release in the year 2000. My goodness, that's a land that time forgot. And it had another re-release put out by Paramount on DVD in 2013. By that point, Paramount, why didn't you just put it out on Blu-ray? I'll never know.
Calm down, Andrew.
That's just
it's
Paramount
okay.
stuff. And then so it's been kicking around the DVD realm for many, many years. Finally getting a Blu-ray release here in the States, and this story's been adapted so many times. It did get a Blu-ray release in Australia a year ago, so it was about time. Put out by Umbrella, of all people.
Yeah.
So we've got stuff. So but this is a great adaptation. It's directed by Franco Zeffirelli. It's that tragedy. It stars Olivia Hussey. It's a great adaptation.
Cool. Next, we got two films from Marguerite Duras, French filmmaker. It's a two-film set. You got 1975's Indian Song and 1977's Baxter, Vera Baxter.
Yes.
So
these are both streaming on Criterion Channel.
All right.
Right now, if you want to watch them, you can. And I will warn people, these are not films for everyone. These are very artistic, very slow, very non-plot based films. Specifically, India Song. India Song is done in a way in which everything looks like a still photo for the most part. Very slow movements. There's going to be times where you think your screen's frozen, and then there's a narration over the pictures that you're seeing. Very much in the style of meshing talkies with silent films, but everything looks like a beautiful, like Renaissance type painting or some type of painting by some great artist. The shot composition in that movie is stunning, just gorgeous. But it is, like I said, it's slow moving. It's really all set in like one place. Not a lot of things going on. Very slow. Very slow. It's unfortunately, I would say, when you think of an artsy French film, this is the type of film you probably picture in your head. And Vera Baxter is very similar, except there's more plot going on and there's more movement going on, but it's still, there are moments that are very slow, very, kind of just plodding along at a very slow pace. But both films are shot exquisitely beautiful and, unique films, definitely unique films by Marguerite Duras, who I'm not even familiar with up until I had to watch both of these movies.
Now I do need to correct myself. They are French films, but I don't know if she's considered a French director. I think she's actually, what I'm seeing here, she's born in Indonesia. So, so yeah, she might be an Indonesian director that maybe spent a lot of her time in France. I don't know. Or maybe, I'm sorry, Vietnamese director, not Indonesian. So, yeah, I mean, very fascinated by her. So, yeah, I need to check these out. But our last one here was one I did get to check out.
Oh, nice. I'm glad you got to see it.
Yeah, because this was, I'm glad I was too, because it was good. I really liked it. And that's Hollywood Shuffle. This is a debut feature from Robert Townsend. This is a great, satire of Hollywood and Hollywood's relationship with black culture and black, just black, race in general, and how it's portrayed in film. And it's very on the nose with all the comedy, but it's like so true. It's so true how they point out all this stuff. You're like, yeah, they do that all the time. Yeah, and it almost makes me think about, it feels like a movie that's a Key and Peele sketch. Like everything's like, all these situations get turned into like little sketches that point out racism in filmmaking. It's fun. It's a fun movie. Andrew.
Yeah,
join
I've
me.
seen the film. Yeah, directed by actor Robert Townsend, whom you've probably seen in other projects. I grew up with him. He had a sitcom, I think, in the '90s, didn't he? It's yeah, he was on a sitcom in the '90s. That's where I first learned him, and then I saw him in a bunch of movies. He was in like The Meteor Man. I don't know if you remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, he was in a sitcom called The Parenthood, and from '95 to 1999, and where he was a father with a family. It's one of those like '90s,
Yeah.
family based comedies. That
Yeah,
you
like
saw in,
what Damon
Everybody Loves
Damon
Raymond
Wayans
and,
does now.
Yeah, it's kind of like he did My Wife and Kids. Damon Wayans did that show for a while. In the '90s, we got a bunch of those. We got The Parenthood. I mean, we had, like I said, Everybody Loves Raymond. We had The Family Matters, which was went from like '89 to like 1998. I think it was a long time. That show ended. They were supposed to go on for another season. It kind of ended abruptly. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the ending of that show. It kind of doesn't have a finite ending. It really
It's okay.
doesn't.
We've had like 10 years of Urkel. It's like,
I guess so. That whole TGI. What was it?
thank God it was Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Yeah.
TGIF. Yeah. I must
Yeah, it
name
was
the.
Step by
I got
Step.
confused with
Step
the
by Step,
restaurant.
Full House. All that junk.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, Robert Townsend is an actor I've always liked, and he directed this film that's a satire about the roles of African Americans in Hollywood. Like they're pigeonholed into certain roles, whether it be gangsters, butlers, slaves, all this kind of stuff. And he is a character who's kind of trying to break through in the industry, and he's got to figure out whether he wants to, sell out for the money or maintain, as they say here, maintain his self-respect. And it's lampooning a lot of like genre flicks and things that we know of. I was pleasantly surprised that they were putting this out. I'm very happy because this is a brand new release with new special features because it's a new release. So you got a new audio commentary with Robert Townsend, new interviews with the actors, and you've got new 4K restoration of the film. Yeah, because this film came out in, I want to say the 80s. Yeah, 1987. So it's been around for a while. I think I watched it on not Filmstruck, Criterion Channel a few years ago. I think that's where I first saw it. It was probably in one of their collections on there. So yeah, that is the slate of Criterion for February of 2023. Steven, you got anything else to say about these?
No, I mean it's a nice, like I said, nice combination of upgrades and some new stuff and Criterion keeps rolling out more 4Ks that everybody wanted so bad. So you're getting all your 4Ks.
Yeah, it's like, here you go.
But most of the 4Ks we've gotten from them so far have been just upgrades.
I know.
So that's
which is kind of a double-edged sword because it's like these movies are going to look amazing, but a lot of us have already bought them and had them in our collection for years.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do we do?
Yeah,
I guess that all comes down to what everybody, the individual.
Yeah.
Like how bad.
There's
going to
be some people that are buying it for the first time. Yes, it's the way you have to look at it.
Very true. We forgot about those people.
Yeah.
They're going to be buying it the very first time, and they don't have to do the double dipping. They're going to do the one dip, and they're going to be good forever. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Speaking of
forever. No, I was kidding.
Speaking of forever.
Not tomorrow. But yeah.
But let's move over to Australia with Imprint's releases. These are their February releases. And we've got a nice little batch here of a few films. We have The Mountain from 1956, Something to Live For from 1952, Carrie from 1952, not the Carrie you think of from the 70s.
Yeah.
And then we have The Bad News Bears Go to Japan from 1978, Hurry Sundown from 67, and then Resurrection from 1980. An eclectic group, different films. None of these films are really related to one another whatsoever.
Not really.
They're all so individual. But yeah, Steven, what did you get to see? Because I saw that you were watching a couple of these.
Yeah, I ended up watching 4 of these films. I have seen Bad News Bears Go to Japan when I was a kid because I was all into them movies as a kid. So I've seen it. It's been a long time. They go to Japan. They play a game.
It's not good.
It's not good.
Out of the 3 feature films, even including the remake from Richard Linklater, It may be the worst because it's not really. There's no baseball in the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, the Bad News Bears go to Japan. It's the third film. They put out the first two already, which was the Bad News Bears, and then it was what's the second film? The Bad News Bears, like League Training or something. What's it called?
I don't know.
I mean, we did cover it. Yeah, the Bad News Bears and Breaking Training, which is the second film, which had William Devane in it, replacing the Walter Matthau character from the first film as like their head coach or whatever. But their head coach gets replaced once again by you're never gonna guess who, Steven. Tony Curtis.
Interesting.
Interesting, but he's not really their coach. He is a small-time, like, gangster hustler type guy who decides to kind of fund their baseball game against the Japanese Little League champions or whatever because he wants to make money off of them. So not exactly a great guy trying to make money off of, children. And he, like, tries to fund their trip to Japan. And apparently he's their only chaperone because the parents were just like, hey, I'll just let our kids go off to Japan with this stranger we've just met.
Yeah.
So there we go. It's the 70s, a different time, different place. And so they go to Japan, and he doesn't really have the funds to do this, so he's trying to make funds by doing all kinds of stuff, and it's like zaniness ensues with the kids. Jackie Earle Haley is still in the movie as Kelly Leak. He has his own story in the movie that's kind of half done, where he meets like a young girl that he tries to go out with, but it's so underwritten that it's just kind of there to have him do something. It's not a good movie. Tony Curtis is fun in the role, and there's a lot of laughs to be had, but as a movie itself, not very good. So unfortunately, I don't think I can quite recommend it, but as a completist, I feel like people are gonna buy it because if you got the first two, you got to get the third one. That's just me.
The roles.
That's just me, but I kind of took that one from you, Stephen. You were going down a much more concrete path than I was.
Well, we'll start with
what did you actually watch?
Well, let's start chronologically. The Mountain from '56, starring Spencer Tracy, Robert Wagner. I watched this. First of all, I'll say this. Spencer Tracy looks like he's like 85 years old and he's climbing mountains.
He's in his 50s in this movie.
But he looks 85.
Spencer Tracy has always looked older than he actually is. He's one of those actors similar to Humphrey Bogart, who I think has always looked older than they were at the time. But Spencer Tracy was actually, I believe, in his 50s.
Yeah.
And so it makes it kind of somewhat unbelievable that he's climbing this mountain.
And
a good portion of this movie is spent watching him climb this mountain.
Him in which, because of their age, how old he looks. They're supposed to be brothers, right?
I mean, there could be there's a good 30-year age gap. Maybe
that's what I'm saying. Like, they look like father-son, but they're supposed to be brothers. And the way their relationship is, it seems more like father and son. Because he did raise him. That's part of the story, is that he raised him.
Yeah. I think it's one of those situations where it was kind of like a brother-father figure type situation. But the plot of the movie is there's a plane crash in these mountains in the Himalayas. I think they say it's actually Mount Everest or close to Mount Everest.
Well, the lady that they rescue says Everest, but that was just a way to, I think, correlate mountain. She was trying. She couldn't speak English, so.
Yeah, but either way, his brother, played by Robert Wagner, wants to go up there and basically loot the plane for money and cash and valuables.
Yeah.
Because I guess he wants out of there. He's sick of the life that they're living. He's sick of not having money. He just wants to do it. And turns out Spencer Tracy's character used to be a kind of renowned mountain climber, and he hasn't done it in about 10 years because of some type of tragedy that happened on his last kind of trip up there. But he convinces him, and they go, and the movie is kind of, for the most part, the second and third act is them climbing this mountain and then climbing back down. And complications ensue because of it. but there's just a lot of moments where you're just watching Spencer Tracy struggle on the side of a mountain from like ledge to ledge.
Yeah, and it's well done. I like the movie. I mean,
Yeah, Spencer Tracy's a great actor, but it's a different role from him,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I've never seen him do a physical role like this in a while, at least not when he was in his 50s.
Yeah.
You know, in his 50s, I was used to him playing opposite Katharine Hepburn in, like, you know, romantic comedies.
Yeah. Yeah, and one thing to bring up, once you know me, I'm all about directors. Edward Dmytryk, we just talked about him on the last episode with The Sniper. And so, yeah, another Edward Dmytryk film. I did enjoy the movie. I mean, it's not the greatest movie ever. It didn't set the world on fire, but it's a cool plot. You know, I like, you know, you don't get a lot of movies like this. You know, of course I think the Stallone cliffhanger film is the other rock climbing movie I like to think about. And then of course
Did you ever see?
And then of course the opening scenes of Mission Impossible 2, where
Oh, I thought you were gonna go with the opening scene of Ace Ventura when nature
and
calls.
that. My favorite part's when
What about the animal cargo?
Yeah, my favorite part's when he's climbing the mountain. The helicopter guy comes over. He's like, "Come down, Ace." He's like, "You'll never stop me, whoever you are. If I were you and you were me, I would use your body to get to the top."
Nice. You know how many times I've said that in real life to a person and they have no idea the context of which I'm
Okay.
talking about? Yeah,
They think you're just crazy.
Say that. Oh,
But yeah,
man.
it's The Mountain's a fun movie. It's a good. Feel like it's a good Sunday afternoon movie. You know, like
Yeah, I would say director Edward Dmytryk did better movies in his career, I would say.
yeah.
We talked a little bit about them when we talked with Mariah Gates about some film noirs. Like he did do Crossfire, which is a really good film noir. I mean, I just mentioned Humphrey Bogart. He did The Caine Mutiny with Humphrey Bogart. So yeah, it's fine. I'll tell you this: Robert Wagner's character, I don't know, he's probably one of the most loathsome characters I've seen in a movie in a while.
Yeah.
He's like brutally cruel to his brother, just an asshole.
Dude,
the
when he
whole
slapped
time.
him in that one scene,
Oh my!
I was like,
goodness.
dude, he'd have been punched in the face, right? It'd have been a quick
Like,
punch.
I would. You know what? Go climb that mountain yourself.
Yeah, really.
Have at it. Have at it. You're a scumbag.
But I'd say a better film, personally, is the next one we'll talk about, and that is the film starring Joan Fontaine and Ray Milland and Teresa
yeah.
Wright, Something to Live For. Yeah, really good. You know, it honestly, you know how I am. You know how I like to make like connections between films that are not really
I know what
there.
you're gonna say. I know it.
You know where I'm going with this. So I
you're
look
gonna
at this as the sequel.
I made the same connection.
Sequel to The Lost Weekend by Billy Wilder, because in that movie, Billy Wilder's film, Ray Milland is playing an alcoholic we go through like a couple days in the life of his, you know, him at his worst, and then in this film, Ray Milland is playing a recovered alcoholic who is now, you know, sponsoring, helping people that are having trouble, and so in this film, Joan Fontaine is you know, an alcoholic, and he comes in to help her, and they kind of start having a romantic entanglement, and Ray Milland is married, and she finds out, it becomes complicated, and there's a back and forth throughout the movie, and then there's, of course, Teresa Wright's the wife of Ray Milland in the film, and it's good. It's a good, you know,
It's a really good film.
solid
it's a solid
drama.
film. Directed by George Stevens,
Yeah.
who I think is a good filmmaker. I have my own George Stevens section in my collection. He directed Giant. He directed Shane. He directed A Place of the Sun. He directed The Diary of Anne Frank. He's a really, really good director. I really enjoyed the film as well. But I got those Lost Weekend connections right away.
Yeah.
Because it's dealing with alcoholism. It's dealing with the emotional turmoil that comes with that, the weight and the heaviness of it. And it's 1952, which, you know, alcoholism is still an issue in our society to this day. And it's just, you know, it's one of those movies that's just dealing with a universal thing that's still a thing. I was just checking because The Lost Weekend did come out in 1945. I didn't want to say that it's. I didn't want to think that movie came out after, but no, it came out in 1945. Ray Milland, I think, is an underrated actor as well.
Yeah, he's
so I really enjoyed it. Teresa Wright is also, I think, underrated. She was in, I believe, Shadow of a Doubt, The Best Years of Our Lives, Mrs. Miniver. I believe she was in his. No, that's not her. But she was in. Yeah, she's been in a few films. I thought she was in His Girl Friday, but that's a different actress.
Yeah.
His Girl Friday is a much different actress. It's Rosalind Russell. That's who is in His Girl Friday.
Gotcha.
But yeah, really good film. But I would say also what's a really good film is the next film.
It's a big one.
I don't know if you.
It's a big one.
I don't know if you did. You get to watch it,
yeah.
Carrie?
Yeah.
And it's not the Carrie. Like I said, it's not the Carrie from the '70s. Sissy Spacek, Brian De Palma. This is one from 1952. And yeah, it's a William Wyler.
Yep.
Starring Laurence Olivier, one of the greatest actors of all time, Jennifer Jones, Marion Hopkins, Eddie Albert's in the film as well. This is a film that is, I felt the full 2 hours while watching this movie because a lot of things happen. So this movie is about kind of a small town girl moves to the big city and meets Laurence Olivier's character who is smitten with her. But once again, kind of in like the movie we just saw, he's already married, but he's in an unhappy marriage.
Yeah.
He's in an unhappy marriage, and he is not trying to get out of it. He just doesn't. It's not good.
Well, I mean, she meets the other character first.
But she meets another guy first, who is kind of a.
Well, he's
kind of a nice guy, bit of a buffoon, if you will.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's not necessarily he means well, but he's not he can't meet all her needs.
Yeah, he's portrayed by Eddie Albert. He's the character of Charles Drouet, and he meets her first on the bus coming into town.
Yeah,
and they strike up a conversation, but he's just a nice guy who's just like saying, "Hey, here's my card if you need anything. Contact me here." And later on, she meets him and he gives her some money so that she's not like destitute.
Well, it's obvious that
she just lost her job.
Yeah, obviously
it's obvious he cares for her more than she cares for him.
Sure, and then what ends up happening is they end up being together, and it seems like it's just a relationship of convenience because she needs help living in the city, and he likes her a lot, so she tries to make it work, but it obviously over time isn't working for her. And then the Laurence Olivier character comes in and they first had met earlier in the story where he worked in a restaurant, very successful, and then he comes back into her life later and they bloom up a relationship. And then, yeah, as you said, his relationship with his wife is complicated, and yeah, we don't want to give away the whole plot.
There's no love there.
Yeah, there's no love there.
It's a loveless marriage. It's really, the thing with he and Jennifer Jones' relationship is there's an overabundance of love there. The problem is they fall on difficult times, and the relationship is strained because of it. There's a lot going on.
I was going to say,
really fantastic.
Without giving away all the plot points, to me, the film's just really speaking about. First of all, it's about the struggle of a female going into a situation like that, where she's, where men are going after her, and they're only wanting what she can give them. They're not. She has her own goals, but she goes in there kind of like without any help, and men just want to take advantage of that kind of like jolly gee gosh kind of thing where they probably just look at her as somebody that can stay at home and make babies, but for her she has her ambitions, and of course she gets there eventually.
Interesting read.
That's
certainly part of it, but also. You got a lot of things going on with Laurence Olivier's character.
Oh, of course, I was going to say it's...
Right, he kind of defines his identity based off of his wealth.
Exactly.
Or even his self-value based off of his wealth. And without it, he doesn't have any value at all. At least he views himself as not having any value.
It's a film questioning what real love is.
We could do a whole episode on this movie.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's a film questioning what real love is, because You know, like
very true.
she always has great intentions through the movie. You know, even when they start falling on hard times, she still loves him, but he can't love himself anymore because he can't do what he.
And if you can't, yeah, I would say that if you can't love yourself, it does make it more difficult to love others.
Yeah.
It can make it more difficult to love others, I would say.
Or let them
Jones,
love you is the yeah.
Yeah, Jennifer Jones I think is an underrated actress as well. She was in a few films that I like. She was in obviously this movie, but she was in Love Is a Many Splendid Thing. She was in Since You Went Away, which is a movie that I have that was put out by Kino. Joseph Cotton's in that film. She was also in the Towering Inferno in the 70s as well. She's a good actress. Laurence Olivier, great all-time actor. She was also in Duel in the Sun. She was also in Clooney Brown as Clooney Brown, the Ernst Lubitsch film, which is available on Criterion. A great film, underrated film in my opinion. And yeah, she's an underrated actress. So yeah, that's a great film. This is a good slate, really good slate from Imprint.
Yeah.
There's no box set in it or anything like that, but I think it's a good slate. Even if The Bad News Bears Go to Japan isn't great, the other films are. Because I know, Stephen, you got to watch Resurrection as well from 1980.
Yes.
Starring Ellen Burstyn.
Yeah.
And what's his name?
Well,
Sam
Shepard's in it. It's an interesting, kind of look at faith. It kind of delves into like faith of God, and it's got a little bit of a religious angle to it, where you got the main characters. She's in a happy marriage. Tragedy happens. She loses her husband, and then she kind of goes into the veil. Almost dies, and then it gets pulled back, and then from then on she has this kind of ability, kind of the faith healer type of thing that you see people kind of make fun of, and it gives you kind of a look into her life after getting this ability and how her ability is affecting all other people, and some people think she's a crock, some people kind of go crazy about it. It's an interesting film. One of our favorites, of course, does a commentary on it, or does a video essay on it, Kat Ellinger. So,
nice,
and then of course commentary by Lee Gambin. So it's going to be good. It's a cool film. It's got some Oscar nominations as well. Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor.
Oh yeah, Ellen Burstyn I think was nominated for Best Actress.
Yep.
And I think, yeah, she's great in the film. I think she's the best part of the movie. Sam Shepard's also really good in the film as well. But it's a very fascinating film. Very fascinating film. I had not heard of it up until now.
It's definitely a film about dealing with grief as well. It's kind of like
definitely grief.
Yeah.
It does take a religious angle with it. What is interesting is it doesn't really feel like a religious film.
No, it doesn't. No.
Because she doesn't really play into that. You know what I mean? Like there's even scenes in the movie where people kind of go against her for not like praising God for giving her, these abilities and whatnot. It's interesting. And yeah, the ending of the film I also find very fascinating, but I won't get rid of that. I also wanted to point out that some of these movies have had Blu-ray releases before. The Mountain specifically had a Blu-ray release from Olive Films back in 2012 here in the U.S. And I also want to mention that the film we're going to talk about next, Hurry Sundown, also had an Olive Films release in the U.S. as well, because I have it. And that's how I watched the movie. There was actually an Otto Preminger collection set of 3 movies that came out in 2012. And this was the first time I had heard of Olive at all. And I bought this, I want to say, on eBay. And it has Hurry Sundown, Skidoo, and Such Good Friends. And I didn't even really know who Otto Preminger was. I just thought this was a a random set to get. But Hurry Sundown is a long film. This movie is 146 minutes. It came out in 1967, and this movie has a cast. I was shocked by how many people I recognized in this movie. And I just want to go down a few of them for you. Michael Caine, Jane Fonda, Faye Dunaway. Who else is in this movie? George Kennedy plays the sheriff. George Kennedy, of course, around the same time, I think 67 is when Cool Hand Luke came out. He was in that film. Burgess Meredith is a judge in this film. You just notice people showing up. I think the actor who played the father in the Brady Bunch, don't know his name. I don't even remember what the character's name was in the Brady Bunch. He's in this movie as a lawyer of like this opposite team.
Mike
so
Brady?
Yeah, is it Mike Brady? There you go. So the movie, here's the IMDb synopsis. Drama of a ruthless southern opportunist who tries to buy his cousin's land and when thwarted brings several tragedies to the lives of his loved ones. That's kind of what the movie's about. There's a little more to it. So Michael Caine basically plays this piece of crap guy who's trying to make this land deal with this company, and to do so, he needs to buy the land that's next to his that is owned by his cousin, and then another piece of land owned by a black family or just someone that they know who's African American. And this takes place post World War II, so we're talking like 1945, 46 in that era, way before civil rights things and whatnot. So obviously, lots of racism in this movie, and he's trying to do it, and they resist him. So he tries to bring them to court on it, and he tries to like bribe the judge, who's portrayed by Burgess Meredith, because he knows the judge is a racist, so he knows he's got him in his back pocket. He tries to like sabotage things by having people like rip out deeds and that were on records and all kinds of stuff. And of course, he ends up going too far and bad things happen. But it is a family drama that's like 2.5 hours long, and it's not. It's good, not great. It doesn't need to be 2 hours and 2.5 hours long. It really doesn't. Like once it reached a certain climax in terms of plot, I was like, why is this movie an extra 20 minutes long? And they just kind of drag it out a little bit too long. But it's definitely worth a watch if you're an Otto Preminger fan. It's definitely a movie to get if you're an Otto Preminger fan or you're an Otto Preminger completist. It's unfortunately the version I have has no special features whatsoever because Olive Films really didn't have the budget at the time to make special features until much later on in their run. And I don't even think they're really around anymore. I brought them up a few times. I don't think that they've had a release in a couple of years. So I think they're kind of gone. So a lot of these licenses are probably lapsed and are probably being picked up by other companies. Hence why we got it here from Imprint. So this does come with a new audio commentary, and it comes with another new special video essay as well, which obviously is good news for me. But yeah, Hurry Sundown. That's that movie.
That's it.
And yeah, I think Something to Live For may have been another Olive film as well. It's just because when I saw them, no, it's not. But I just say this, usually you see the Olive Film logo, and that's how you know it's an Olive Film thing. They had a cool logo. This little, like, monster that was shaped like an olive. It had, like, legs. It was like an olive with legs. I liked it.
Yeah.
That was cool.
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple of their releases. I still got to grab
too.
a couple of their later signature editions, which were really good. Like, they put out a signature edition of Orson Welles' Macbeth, which was an upgrade of their original Blu-ray of Macbeth. Apparently, it had more special features and a better picture and sound. I really want that. But of course, as soon as I buy it for an exorbitant amount of money, some other company's going to end up putting it out, a re-release of it. That's just the way things seem to be going right now.
Yeah.
In the collecting world or the movie buying world.
Gotta be careful. Gotta be careful out there going back and trying to buy old stuff.
Yeah, that is the curse of trying to buy old stuff. Is all the old stuff is now becoming new stuff.
Yep.
So I think that's it, unless you've got anything else to say for ViaVision or Imprint.
That's it. I think that's going to be it for this week. We went through, we caught up a little bit there, and we went over the new stuff, and yeah. So I think that'll do it for this week. And let me bring up just once again, Shelf Shock Rewind Awards. is something that me and Ryan over at Disconnected are putting together, and be ready for a lot more stuff to go around to the social medias, go around and follow all the stuff, because we'll have giveaways and contests, and of course more news when voting starts. So please look out for that. And with that said, Andrew, where can you be found?
You can find me on Twitter at Capzilla06, as well as our YouTube channel, Chasing Labels.
And you can find me on Facebook, Stephen Billings. You can also find me at the other Chasing Labels pages, whether it be the Twitter, Instagram. You can go over to my letterbox, mess me there. I don't care. I'll be over there sometimes. Find the audio for the podcast on Podbean, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, and other places. Thanks again for listening. And hey, keep on watching them movies.
I know I will.